All right, fresh off the golf course, Riley Hawk
Yep.
off for just a lovely back
Oh,
nine.
yeah, I'd take that all day. No, I never did. I never raced, but I would go just ride the track all the time. World Vets was like the first real race.
So that was your first real race?
Yeah, that was like my first real
No
gate drop.
shit.
Yeah.
So had you ridden Glen Helen much before that?
One time in my life. That track was f***ed. I was just surviving. You're seeing someone like him who is so adapted to what social media is and can be used for, and he's like using it perfectly. We're in similar situations, but that dude carries way more confidence than I did when I was his age. I kind of was coming out of like a long stint of abusing alcohol, you could say, when this part came out. It felt really good to like skate how I wanted to again. It still to this day will kind of trip me out on how famous he actually is, because he is so humble and so mellow, and like at the end of the day, he's my dad.
This episode is brought to you by Yamaha and the all-new 2024 YZ250F. It's no secret that I've been a big fan of this 250F.
Where would you go right now if you want to win a lights championship?
Star Yamaha.
And in 2024, Yamaha has migrated their latest chassis platform to the Quarter Liter King. With the new chassis designed to give you flex in the right areas that allow for maximum feel through the turns without sacrificing stability. There's also an all-new Ergos package designed at slimming down the bike and updates to the rider triangle to improve rider comfort. The Yamaha still has that same exciting engine package that has become a modern icon in the 250 class, rocketing Star Racing to the lion's share of the last decade's titles. Combine this with Yamaha's Bluetooth connectivity for easy mapping and engine monitoring, and you have one of the best production 250s on the market today. To learn more, head to YamahaMotorsports.com or click the link in the description below.
I met a gypsy.
All right, fresh off the golf course, Riley Hawk off for just a lovely back nine.
Oh, yeah, I'd take that all day.
Managed to just be a pro golfer for like 5 holes in a row.
Yeah, and then the body starts shutting down. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your playing partner just really brought you down.
Yeah, the energy started fading for us towards the end there, but we got through it.
We were just keen for a burger at the end of it.
Yeah, like I was saying, I was like, I'll pay whatever just to go play 18 right now. I was stoked.
Yeah, so new dad, just completed Glen Helen, World Vets, Jiu Jitsu guy, surfing, mountain biking.
A lot in common for sure.
You're like the way cooler version of me.
I feel like I'm the California version of you.
Yeah, it was funny when you were like, we started following each other on Instagram. I like said to my wife, I'm like, check this dude out. Like he literally does all the shit that I like doing. Except I cannot skate for the life of me.
Oh really? I guess I forget like
you're a skater.
A lot of people don't. Yeah, that. I guess that a lot of people don't skate really. Like I don't know. I feel like the other stuff's more easy to kind of dip your toes in, but skate's kind of all or nothing, I guess.
Well, I was thinking about it because I always thought it was cool, and like of course played Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like it was obviously a thing, but where I lived, we had to ride everywhere.
Yeah.
So my version of skate is BMX.
True.
Because we like actually needed to get places. And I feel like you guys,
that's how it goes.
It was way more centralized, like skating in Surftown. You don't really have to travel long distances. So like skating is probably the easier version, or not the easier, but like when you don't have to travel, you can skate.
Yeah. I mean, it was just embedded into my life from
that
2 years old. Like that was like all I knew. But I mean, even when I was that age, like not many kids were skating. Like you had to seek out a lot more of that type of vibe. Like there was a competition circuit called Castle, which actually my dad's dad started back in the day. And it's kind of like the equivalent to like the amateur circuit for racing type stuff, where you see a lot of the names now is like very well-known pro skaters started there. And so I would do that and kind of meet friends through that. But then my homie Jacob, who is like my best friend that we've filmed all our skate videos our whole life, I met in like 4th grade, I think, because he just had a skateboard too at school and was like, oh shit, all right, we both skate. There's maybe...
You're my friend now.
Maybe like 6 of us at my whole elementary school that skated. And
what was the main thing, surfing?
surfing, but skating just hadn't quite hit in that way yet. Like it had, you know, its boom in the 80s and then it died in the 90s. And then, like you said, I think my dad's game is like, I mean, it was crazy seeing that happen in real time because I saw the prototypes of the game coming home. My dad showing me, like, we'd play them and there would be like no background. It would just be just the skater and the level way. And like, and I was like, well, this is cool, a skate video game. And then it was like, I mean, that's like, you know, talk about cultural phenomenon. Like it just, whatever, there's something was happening in the world where everything came together at the perfect time. And it was just like, it might as well be, I don't know, it's like a movie, like a famous movie. Everyone knows the game, you know, it's crazy.
And the soundtrack, like it just had everything. Man, like chicks played that.
For sure.
Game. Like it was just, it transcended skating.
Yeah.
I wonder if, like, just fully thinking out loud, like, I wonder if it even just stopped people skating because they just got such a good fix of skating on the game. And
I don't know. I think it did a lot for people maybe that couldn't skate year round. You know, we're really lucky here in Southern California. You can skate all year pretty much. So I don't know.
Yeah, but it was just like a complete phenomenon.
Yeah,
almost
I mean,
like
it was
Grand
kind of
Theft
the
Auto
it
type
was
of
like
thing.
the first of its
everything.
kind of game, and I think I have a lot of respect for my dad because he really stuck to his guns with how he wanted it to be done, and they could have definitely taken a wrong turn, and it could have been this corny, I don't know, game. And if you,
because there were a couple skate games after it that were like very arcade.
There's been before and after. I mean, there's Skate obviously, which kind of became the more like sought after game after, just because the controls were a bit more like akin to how it felt to really skate. Like I've played Skate all the time, and it's weird. I feel like I know how to do a trick with my thumb on Skate in the same way in the real world. It like translated really well, but I think my dad's game, just if you go back and play them, it's like pretty crazy the stuff they were putting in a game that was that like famous and popular to like the normal culture. Like they had like Officer Dick and like all these crazy challenges, and like it was just a cool, like I felt like it really stuck to skating's like core roots, and that kind of translated well when normal people picked it up. I feel like they understood skating a lot better, and I think that was a cool thing that it did for skateboarding for sure.
That's one thing about skating, is that it had a culture, like a very clearly defined culture, and you didn't have to skate to be a part of that culture, if that makes sense.
For sure. I mean, I think like, because I was around this whole time when my dad obviously got really, really famous to the point where it's, you know, he's like a Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods name nowadays. And then I was there when BAM was becoming BAM because they all skated for Audio Footwear, which was what my dad skated for. And all these people that were like becoming as famous as, you know, household movie stars, like basketball players, whatever you want, football players. And I was just a kid there around for it all because my dad had me pretty young. So I was...
How old were you when that was going on?
Probably would have been like between 8 and 10 when things were really starting to...
So old enough.
Old enough, yeah. I remember like the houses getting bigger, the notoriety, like him getting noticed more. My younger brothers were a little too young, I think, to notice that stuff. But because I mean, the 900 thing was pretty like significant, but that was not even close to what the video game did to like his day-to-day life, you know, because like it's just, that game is like transcended skateboarding.
And in every country.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
How many, just Google how many copies would have got sold of that.
Oh man, I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be one of, I feel like, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a couple of just huge, like you said, it's almost like a
staple.
Movie, like a Marvel
it's like a
movie
staple
kind of thing. Holy fuck, bro.
Over $1 billion. That's insane.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew it was close to $1 billion. That's a lot of video games.
God damn. That's fucking crazy. I actually had no idea.
But it still to this day will kind of trip me out on how famous he actually is, because he is so humble and so mellow. And like at the end of the day, he's my dad. Like it's the person that I grew up having, you know, like issues with and good times with, bad times with. Like it's like my dad, you know, when I was being a dumbass, he was the one that had to be there to reprimand me, whatever it is. But I remember one time specifically, maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. We were out in Tahiti on like a family vacation, and there was like a surf wave that supposedly was close by. That was kind of, my dad always likes to do a family trip once a year, and we'll go to like generally a place where there's like a wave to surf, and it like usually never works out, but for whatever reason this time the wave was actually really good. And it was a really small island, like they didn't even have cars, like it was pretty crazy, like significantly small, not much going on there,
like
and out there, and there was a wave that we took a boat out to, and we pulled up, and there was probably like maybe 15 local guys out, and it was really, really good. I've never even seen footage of this wave before. They actually said
Do you know
us.
the name of it?
I don't. I
That's
honestly.
a cool wave.
Yeah, it was a perfect.
Of.
Me and my dad are both goofy, and it was a perfect left, probably like head high. Like it kind of reminded me of like a cloud break, just
Like that's mellow takeoff.
mellow takeoff, but like really good and not scary to where it's like a reef break that felt scary. But anyways, we get off the boat, and everyone's just looking at us because they're like, obviously these guys surf it all the time, and they're wondering who the fuck these two white guys are that just got off a boat.
Tattooed white guy.
And there's this huge like guy that was on a boogie board, and he like, we see him kind of talking to each other, and we're like, oh fuck, like they're probably gonna tell us we got a dip or something. And then the guy comes over on the boogie board, and he's just like, Tony Hawk. And I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe this guy actually recognizes who my dad is. And then they were like, you can surf, but no video. And then they like, after that, they were actually really cool. And like sets would come in, and they'd be like, go, they'd like give us the waves. And we got like so many waves. It was pretty rad. And that was when I was like, man, that is fucking crazy that in that type of like small
like
village island, edge of the world, they still like, not even like, there's no reason they should know that he would be there at that way. Like they just saw his face and they knew. They're like, yep, that's Tony Hawk.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
And I've never met your dad, but when we had Ellis in here the other day, and even off camera, well, we were talking at Rampage, and I was just like, how's the podcast? Because he like does it, and he's like, bro, honestly, the guy you would never fucking know.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
He's
man.
like, it's actually, and he knows, obviously he knows a ton of people too. He's like, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
You cannot explain the level of like humble.
The patience is insane. I learned a lot about patience from him because it's nonstop. You go anywhere all day, it's nonstop. And I've never seen him once turn away like a photo, an autograph, like a moment with someone. He taught me a lot about that as someone who was coming into like my own as a skater, just like the importance of taking time to, just have a genuine moment with someone, even if it's a couple minutes and you have to tell them like, hey, I got to go do this thing, but it was like nice talking to you. Like those moments mean so much to people. And you can really see how it has kind of elevated him into this other echelon of like people have a lot of respect for him because I've never once seen him be, like over it or not give someone the time of day. And that's a pretty special thing. I feel like nowadays, especially with the phones and, people are in a hurry all the time. And man, he's so patient. Even like his wife, my stepmom, Kathy, who's a really good friend that, she was around growing up and now they're married, but she has to be the one to be like, okay, we got to go, Tony. Like, come on. It's like, it'll just be like, we'll be on a family vacation and he's chatting with people and he just really understands that. Yeah, exactly. Which is cool.
It's funny too how I feel like people can tell your character in a second.
For sure.
Like you can have a very, very brief, like I've had a couple of like interactions with people where it's like it's in a supermarket or it's somewhere like it's not in a place where you would like expect to have a person recognize you, right? Very quick, very mellow, and then you'll get a message like a couple hours later, and the guy would be like, "Mate, thanks for the time." Like,
it's huge.
People can tell in such a short period of time, and I don't think people like actually expect that much. Totally. I feel like sometimes if you can just like give off that vibe to people, it's almost like such a validation of like, I like that. I knew I liked that guy.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing my dad told me. He's like, I promise you they'll remember that you were awesome to them and they'll always hold that like near and dear. But if you're a dick, they will go around for the rest of their life being like, I met Tony Hawk or I met Jason. They were a fucking asshole. And it's like that. Those moments start to add up, and not like you need to be nice to people just to like avoid being called an asshole. But I think I don't know, just being a genuine
Yeah,
person.
just
and
being genuine.
My wife says that to me a lot. She's like, it's crazy how she'll notice me. Like I do the same thing because I'll chat with anyone that comes up to me, and she's like, you just talk to them like they're your friend right off the bat, and I can tell it like makes people feel seen and cool, and that's all I try to do is, I just want to be nice to people. I hate people that put people down or like feel like they're too good for something just because they've done something in life. And I think I get that from seeing my dad, who is, maybe renowned as one of the most famous people in the world, or the name at least. And he'll do that all day long, just talk to people and take the time. And it's like, if he can do it, then why the fuck can't anyone else? I don't give a shit what they do,
Man, it's, I have this conversation with anyone that will listen, is that to me, at least, like the thing that I find the coolest in the world in people, and this is the people I try and hang out with, is like you're incredibly good at something and you're incredibly famous or whatever it is, and you're the fucking coolest.
Yeah, that's the
Like
best.
to me, that is winning at life.
For sure.
Like if you can achieve all of the success and you get all of the money, and then there's all the challenges that you have to dodge.
Yep.
Because of the success and because of the money. And if you can navigate your way through that, and then you can be super down to earth and super fucking nice to people, you win.
Yeah.
Like you're a fucking winner.
Figured something out that takes a lot of people a lot of time to figure out, or sometimes a lot of people don't, and they crash and burn. And that's kind of the reality now of like, especially living in the digital age where everything's at the fingertips of people. They can have a bad interaction with you and write a tweet about it, and next thing you know, you're like getting blasted on the internet like you're an asshole. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like there's just some people I just hold in such fucking high regard.
For sure.
For like the way that they can like navigate that minefield. I say it about Ricardo all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Guy is just the fucking best.
Yeah, that's cool.
Got everything, done everything, made so much money. Like, and it's weird to say like he could be a dick.
Yeah,
but I mean, and there's other Formula One drivers, they literally are dicks.
For sure.
And everyone's just like, oh yeah, like I get it.
Well, there's people that I've seen it where people will like, they'll just take it on the chin if someone's like, they're a huge fan of them and they're kind of a dick to them, and they're like, they like almost just accept it. They're like, okay, whatever, but like I'm a fan of that guy. But some people I feel like, people like me and you into the MMA scene, it's like, you almost want like a McGregor to just be like a McGregor when you meet him. You don't want him to like break down into this like normal character and just be like, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Like you almost want him to just be like arrogant and
McGregor just walk off.
Yeah, I don't know. But so I guess that's like kind of a, double-edged sword.
It's different lanes too. Like I feel like your wife would feel it in such a like a different way. Like it's like culturally different.
Yeah.
In that world of
For
like
sure.
the pop star, rock star music.
Yeah,
like,
I think people
such a
something
different
about
element.
like I feel like something about like the pop star, rock star, like movie star side of the world is people like, I don't know, they like look at these people like they're like gods, or like that their like moral compass is perfect. Like they want to follow that person's like ideology, and people like a motocross racer, like look at like a Haiden Deegan. I'm like, I don't want to like live like Haiden, but I respect his riding a lot. I think
gnarly.
like he's just gnarly, and that's cool. And that's one person in the sport where I've always wondered. I'm like, man, it'd be interesting to. I think we've talked about a little, like just talk with him, because he's a lot younger than me actually, but we're probably two of the only people that have really gone through this gauntlet of the like famous dad that was in the industry or sport, and then trying to climb your way up to like make a name for yourself in it. And he's done far more, I think, than I would have done in skating, because he is like the face of motocross now. But it'd be interesting to hear, like, I don't know, I guess just a conversation.
Yeah. Dude, it has to be, I mean, the thing with skating though is I feel like there's so many ways to skin that cat.
Motocross is so black and white.
It's so one way.
You either win or you lose. I mean, there is like free riding now, but like to be like the face of the sport, you have to be
the Supercross champion,
podium material at Supercross, Motocross, and then skate. It's like I don't think I've ever even got like one good contest result in my life, and that's from the few that I've skated. It just doesn't really doesn't matter in skateboarding.
Yeah, yeah.
The contest thing, it's so subjective. It's all like it's own art thing. Everyone's different. And the motocross is like people look different, but at the end of the day, whoever gets to the finish first is the hot shit, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. Like, you're an artist. Like, you see skating in a certain way
Yep.
in your mind. I'm assuming this is not a skater, but it's like you have your skateboarding.
Yeah.
And then you do your skateboarding.
For sure.
And then people resonate with your skateboarding. And that is like being an artist. That's like being
Andrew
a
Reynolds
musician.
Andrew Reynolds has said it before like that. It's like a video part is like a skater's album, and that's like how it resonates with people. Some people, you know, like you can be like, that album is subjectively great, but it's not my cup of tea. Like, it's not music that I'm really into. Like, you look at someone like, I feel like Nija gets a lot of that in skate, where it's like he's just so unbelievably good and you cannot deny that at all. But a lot of people, it's just not their type of skating that they prefer to watch,
because it's just like hammer.
It's just hammers and just
hammer
clothing that maybe they don't agree with, whatever it is, you know. There's just so much nuance to skating that I feel like it hurts and helps a lot of people in that industry.
Yeah, and I think that is probably like, maybe skating would be the best industry to be the most famous dude's son.
For sure.
In a
I mean,
way.
dude, if I was a motocross racer and I was Haiden, I would not have been as successful as he is. So he's like much better in his realm than I would have been. But, you know, there was a point where I was skating well enough to get the sponsors that I have, and there was like moments of like success, and then that just is what it is, you know. Skating is just different, and I think a lot of people get kind of like huffy and puffy about who should be on what companies in skating, this and that, but at the end of the day, not many people really even make much of a living doing it anyways, and it's kind of just the reality of skating. I have tons of friends who are pro skaters who have their name on boards that work normal jobs, and they skate on the weekends because they love skating, and they dedicated their lives to it, and that's just like all they know. And it sucks to see, but that's just how it is.
Industry.
Yeah.
What would your, maybe not like advice, but like, what are some of the hard things of being a famous dude's son and then trying to go into the industry? Like, in terms of what Haiden would be up against.
I mean, man, I gotta say, like, if I was doing it nowadays like Haiden is with social media, I feel like it would have been a lot harder on me mentally, because that is all right there in his face, like, all the time. You know, like, I think.
And they even like invite more of it than they have to, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, he really puts himself out there. Like, I'm not like that. I'm kind of more like introverted and like introspective, to where I don't want to put my life on blast like that. And you see how he's just been trained through the family vlogs his whole life, and that's really working for him in that industry. But for me, like, there's no way I would have wanted to do that. Like, if my dad would have had like a reality show or something, I probably would have just said, I don't want to have any part of this. Like, you can exclude me as the child from the family for the show, at least, if that's like what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I think it would have been so much harder on me mentally seeing comments nonstop all day on my foot, like right at my fingertips, because there was YouTube when I was coming up, but like I wasn't going through the YouTube comments and trying to find people that hated me, you know. And I think he's got a pretty strong mental will to keep pushing through that, and I'm sure that only makes it more motivating for him to shut people up and put in the work. I mean, clearly you can see the dude is like, he's dedicated and he puts in the work, and it's paying off for him.
Did you see his post yesterday, Rones? See if it's still on his story or in his thing. Yeah. I honestly think he's been holding himself back too.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's like way fucking gnarlier than...
I think he's going to start to come into more of his personality soon.
Yeah. Go to his story. I think dude, look at that. No.
Oh, the American overalls?
Did you watch it play this shit? Look at the fucking meme next to it.
Dude, I mean, this is the kind of shit I'm glad that I didn't have social media for when I was 18, because there'd be a lot of dumb shit like this on the internet of me. But I mean, hey, respect to him. Like, I think that he knows. I mean, you're seeing someone like him who is so like adapted to what social media is and can be used for, and he's like using it perfectly, and it's really paying off for him. I mean, what is it? 1.6 million followers. Like, that's no other moto dudes are nowhere near that
Not
amount of
even close,
I mean, I
dude.
follow a lot of the moto guys, and it's kind of shocking how low some of their follower Instagram count is. It's not like that even matters, but you can just see that he's like same thing. He's kind of transcended the sport. He's more of like a kind of like a Nigel, where it's like people outside of moto know who he is.
Yeah, and it's only gonna get more. Like, I
For
feel
sure.
like I don't know whether like Brian was holding it back a little bit. Like, maybe they were a bit, but I just feel like I feel like he maybe has got to the point where he like just feels like he belongs. He feels like
You
he's
can tell
good
he
enough.
seems
and now he's
confident
just
now.
like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, even when I watched, he was on your podcast, he's like he's a kid. He
kid,
is literally
literally.
a kid.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know much about life, and it's not to his
No,
fault.
he
He's
shouldn't.
just a kid.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like I'm so glad that I wasn't doing podcasts and stuff when I was that age, because like, what would I even talk about? I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, I know how to skate. Skating is my life, and that's kind of all seemed like that's for him. But now you could tell he's coming like a guy, you know?
Yeah, and I think just like to have the confidence
Yeah.
to say your own shit, and like he's wearing a fucking American flag.
That's one thing I'll
overalls
say.
with
He's
an
like,
AR-15.
we're in similar situations, but that dude carries way more confidence than I did when I was his age, because I was a kid that just wanted to smoke weed and play guitar in my room and then go skate and listen to, music. And like, the last thing I was trying to do was like create like provocative
A whole alter
Instagram.
ego
Yeah,
of-
like that was just not what I wanted to do in life at all. And I think that's just where the difference is. And I don't know. That's kind of the route I took, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess like, I don't know, Brian's like super competitive too.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know whether your dad was like that, but it's just like he's like, if we're doing it, we're gonna win.
I mean,
And we're
my
going
dad's
all
like,
in.
he's competitive with himself for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know I've heard there's tons of people that would tell me like they would skate against him in the 80s and 90s, and they said they would, if they saw his name on the list of skaters, that they were just hoping they could get a second. That was like what they would say. They're like, he was just so, I mean, he really was like a tiger. He was so dominant. Like, it was like he did it to the point where he burned himself out by the time he was like 17 years old. He was like, he quit skating contests, like all that stuff, because he was just like in so much emotional distress from what it was doing to him, and still feeling so isolated.
And that's like all internal, like.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's hard to be the best and be at the top, especially when you're in an industry like back then. Skating was brutal. I mean, so was moto, like people were just so harsh, and he was just like a kid. And I mean, that's, I think, another thing I was saying, like, man, seeing all those comments, like, I'm surprised people push through that nowadays. Like, mentally, they must not even look at it, because it's there. But yeah, it's rough out there.
It's fucking weird. Like, it was definitely hard for me to get through in a way.
Yeah.
Because I was like literally nobody.
Yeah.
Like 0 followers, 0 ever. Just started the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this could probably work.
Yep.
And then you have nobody that knows you. Nobody's talking about you.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then you get to a point where it's like, it's all good for ages. And then you just hit this point where it's almost just like a wave of fucking shit.
The
Because
casuals have arrived.
yeah, like you've literally just like amassed enough
Yeah.
momentum and enough visibility. And the thing too that I don't think people understand is like algorithms. You might have 130,000 followers, like 150,000 followers, but literally millions of people can be
for
seeing your
sure.
shit.
Yeah.
And before that, it was different because you would only really see the shit that you wanted to see.
Yep.
And then now it's like, we're so good at our job that if you fucking see a dirt bike on your Instagram or TikTok, you'll see our shit.
Yeah.
And it just puts you in front of all of these people that have zero idea who you are, zero connection.
I mean, I think there's people that just sit on the internet and just fucking
Talk
shit all day about stuff they don't even know what's going on. Like, it's crazy to me that like that is someone's life, and I just feel sorry for people that live that way. And I mean, they're gonna do that. Hurt people. That's what they say.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just like really no consequences for those people. So
there
like,
really isn't.
There's even a part where it's like it's probably just fun to troll and talk shit.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, they get people talking back to them. Maybe they're bored as fuck and have no one to talk to. And even if they're arguing, it means that they're like they got something going on. Like their phone's dinging. I don't know. Maybe they just want that, like a notification on their phone, regardless. And yeah, I mean, I would know nothing about that life, but
that ain't you.
I would. Yeah, that's just insane to me. Like even leaving a negative comment in general to me is just insane. But that's people's right with social media. They can do that if they want.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I think that there's a period where it's tough, and then I think there's a period where you just like fully don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean that was my whole life, so I kind of was able to understand it younger, and my dad helped me navigate through things. And but yeah, just with social media, it's so amplified for someone like Haiden. I can't imagine being a kid and doing this thing that you love so much, and people all they want to do is just like say that you're never going to be the person that you are trying to become, and probably helps him like to have that fire under his ass. Like I never understood why someone, obviously anyone can do anything in this life, and why on earth would someone who already has the genetic makeup of a freestyle pro motocross racer not be able to become the fastest motocross racer in the world? Like, yeah, you would think that he would be the one that could do it, and people are, he'll never beat so-and-so. This, I'm like, I don't understand
what
that.
Are you basing that off?
I just don't understand why people can't wrap their head around the fact that it is literally in his genetics and in his blood to do that.
He's probably going to be good.
He's probably going to be good, especially if he's putting in the work like he does. So,
and man, the craziest part about his shit too is like you see all those videos that from him being a fucking kid on the porch looking at the metal militia.
Yeah,
like eating fucking applesauce.
It's crazy. I mean, it's literally that's
you're like,
that's how my life was too. Like my dad didn't have help with me when him and my mom had split, and he would take me on tour with him. Like,
no way.
Yeah, like I would go to Japan with him. Like we were just talking about the other day, like we'd be in Japan and I would be like 3 and he's like got to do a demo and it's just me and him, and he'll just have some random Japanese distributor like play with me for an hour so he can do a demo. Like,
no fucking
yeah,
way,
like that's
bro.
like how, because he was, when I was that age and he was like still trying to figure out what skateboarding could even do for him at that point. There was no, X Games wasn't a thing. The video games weren't happening, you know, so it was just this dead kind of like, he was just doing demos like in wherever. And
it's weird
I was around.
Think about that period.
Yeah.
Like you see the end and you see everything that it become. But yeah, you just don't even think like, there's a period where like that wasn't a thing.
The Bones Brigade, and they were superstars, and then it just tanked. Like I feel like, has Moto ever done that? I don't think it's ever like just completely been like, because it was like skating was like a fad. It was like a thing that was like the in thing, and then it crashed, then it went up again, and then it's literally kind of still like right now it's kind of like a fad thing, you know. Like,
go to Google Trends, Rones, and just type in skateboarding for like the maximum period of time. You ever look on this shit?
never.
Did you know this was a thing?
I did not know.
This shit's very interesting. It's basically just like the Google history.
Yep.
Just go like worldwide. 2004. Fuck, I wish we could go longer. Huh. What happened?
What was going on in 2022?
Was that like it wasn't the Olympics, eh?
I think that was the Olympics,
there, July 2024.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's in the Olympics now, so
that's
there's
wild.
A lot of interest there.
But yeah, so since 2024, it's just been like kind of on the decline.
Yeah, I mean,
which is
not
wild
much
to think of.
I mean, so I skateboarded for the shoe brand Lakai for almost 20 years, and last week they just officially pretty much announced that the brand is just done. Like there's just not. It was a whole messy situation that there's a lot of moving parts that even I don't fully understand. But at the end of the day, there's just no money for a core company anymore. It is all like either the big corporations or these real small like niche shoe brands that are run by skaters that are able to make it work in a way that the brands before them from the past couldn't quite get back to that like full grassroots area of it. Like they had too much going on to where the money was just going out the door and they couldn't
Too
stop
much
it anymore.
overhead.
Yeah. And so yeah, like I officially, as of 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, I have no shoe sponsor. I was skating for them for almost 20 years. And it's just like
gone.
that. Like they're just gone. It'd be like the equivalent of, I don't know.
Alpine Stars. Just being
Yeah. Like, I mean, they're probably like, I guess what you would equate to like
Maybe
a Nike
yeah,
now,
yeah.
but maybe like a Garnet or something.
Yeah,
like,
true, yeah.
Or like
City
Thor
boots or something.
just something that's been there, like a staple to skateboarders is just like, holy shit, it's just gone now. Like that's just not a brand anymore.
How many pro skaters would there be, do you think?
Like in general,
Overall?
like
in the US maybe.
I don't know. I mean, it used to be a lot more gate kept, I think, and now it's getting to the point where people were maybe either like fed up with the industry or kind of shoot up and spit out, and a lot of people started their own brands and you know, they'll turn their homie pro that rips maybe isn't like going to be a household
pro is
name.
like
It's
such
a little bit different than it
loose term.
was, but man, I don't know. Few hundred maybe.
No way.
Maybe. I really don't. Less than that probably actually.
Did the YouTube thing hit skating or like the influencer kind of thing?
There is like what they call like YouTube skaters, I guess, that like do like YouTube stuff, maybe like a Buttery would, but
Yeah.
I mean, I know Buttery's talked about like the industry not really accepting what he's done, and I think it kind of is the same way with the YouTube skaters where the people in it just aren't taking note of that and I can probably guarantee there's some of those dudes that probably make way more than most pro skaters. But yeah, I mean, I know one dude pretty personally he actually was flow for Birdhouse, which is my dad's company, and he did the YouTube thing and it seemed like he did pretty well. And I mean, I don't know because I don't really watch the YouTube skate stuff because I'm so like oversaturated with skateboarding in my life that if I'm going to watch YouTube, it's usually like, honestly, like moto stuff or just random shit, like YouTube commentary stuff on like stuff going on in the world. But yeah.
I'm just a bit, you know what my guilty pleasure is, dude? I watch like the downfall of people on YouTube.
I know, my algorithm's turned into that and it's hard not to click them. Like, what is that one guy's name?
Shab.
Yeah, Shab is definitely had a rough go on the internet.
Dude.
I personally like him. I mean, I don't think that I would not get along with him if I like met him, but yeah, I mean, I can see why people just absolutely just nuked him.
Dude, there's part of me that just watches that out of like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like, don't do this.
Well, dude, I was reading about a study that was talking about where that thing of like, where people keep getting attracted to like, you know, internet drama or whatever it is. It's like this primal thing from the caveman days where like someone would, if you were seeing that there was like maybe, I don't know, like a predator or something, you keep them like in your peripheral to make sure it's not gonna come into your bubble and like affect you. And it's like this primal thing that, like you said, you're like, okay, I need to monitor this so I know that that's not gonna happen to me. But
and every single downfall thing that I watch, like I see a bit of myself in it.
For sure.
Like not enough to fucking bring me down, but it's like, I'm like, I do that.
Yeah,
like,
or like I've done
suck.
that. Yeah, like
I'm a douche.
You're like, damn, I was 2 turns away from like a friggin' one of those YouTube videos where it's just talking shit on you pretty much.
Yeah, it's just like
brutal, man. That's brutal.
It's so I don't know. It's like so. There's this one guy, Podcast Cringe.
I haven't seen that one.
He the shit that hurts is when they get it right.
Yeah, well, they usually do. I mean, dude, there's a lot of smart motherfuckers on the internet these days. Like,
fuck yeah,
people are definitely like nailing the points they're trying to hit on the internet nowadays. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like the average YouTube guy is usually pretty on point with what he's talking about.
It's such a business.
Yeah.
Like you have to be so fucking dialed to make any money on YouTube. And
I've never entered that world.
Dude, you think about like how many channels there are and how much content there is. And I think there was like a study that came out that said if you like of all high school students in America, the number one career choice that they would have is content creator.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like when the fuck, like how did that become a thing? But when you look at it, I mean, it's honestly a great job.
Yeah,
but it's become like it's a gnarly fucking business, and you have to be so good at it to break through the noise, you know?
Dude, I wouldn't even know where to start. That's like not my world. One thing I remember I had like a realization one day is I was like, you know what, even if the internet didn't exist, like I'm happy knowing I'd still be doing the same shit I'm doing because I've been skating and filming videos with my homies
Since you were a
and
kid.
putting them even onto DVD before the internet was like available to share to the world. And I was like, I'd still just be doing the same shit, which is at least something I know I'm like happy with the work that
you're
I've
doing it for the right reason.
yeah, because I just love it. And you know, like I've never been too like attuned to wanting to put a bunch of myself on the internet like that, just because it just seems almost scary, honestly.
Yeah. It's just I just think like the perks of it for people though nowadays.
Yeah,
It's
for
just,
sure.
You know, like there's just so much money to be made in. There's like a certain way to, like you think of like the Kai Sientes and like those, like the Logan Pauls.
Yeah.
Like there's a thing where if you just fully chase the money,
Oh yeah.
you can murder it, but you give away such a big part of your soul.
Like
it feels
everything, man. Like it's like that one Twilight Zone, the new one. I don't know if you watched that. There's Jordan Peele did the newer. He's like produced it or whatever. But there's an episode about a comedian and he like sucks and he meets this guy who like tells him to use these material from his life, and it's like everything he talks about, like is with his wife, everything starts disappearing that he talks about because he's like giving away it to the audience, and by the end of it he has like nothing and he's like miserable and everyone loves him, and it's like such a perfect example of how that happens.
Dude, what is that? It's like a TV series or something?
Twilight Zone?
Yeah.
Have you never watched like the old ones?
No,
it's like a really
my mom
famous
and dad did.
Yeah, I mean I love like horror sci-fi stuff, so that's like something I've been into. But the Jordan Peele did the new one. It wasn't my favorite season of a show, but it was, I mean, it's Twilight Zone. It's like iconic to watch for sure.
There's a ride at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Yeah, it's like super iconic intro.
That makes a lot of sense though.
It's true though.
Yeah.
It's seriously true because I've been there with that where I've let too much of my life be put on blast and you can't get it back once it's out there.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a real thing.
Yeah.
But there's also like a way where when you just go like, okay, what's going to get me the most views, the most money, like that's the bit where it's like really fucking sketchy too.
Yeah.
Because then you just don't even know who the fuck you are.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like nowadays I'm seeing a lot of on my YouTube algorithm just YouTube people having full fucking meltdowns and crises where you're just like, holy shit, this dude is losing it. Like, yeah, maybe he has 4 Ferraris, but he looks fucking ridiculous on the internet right now.
Well, that's like the whole Brendan Schaub thing. Like, man, he was making so much money, Showtime specials, like just doing the whole thing. And then it's just like, just tanked. And I feel like if you get to that, like, that's a long climb to get back to where you were. It just feels like you almost get like one shot at doing that on the internet.
It's almost like where you get like knocked in like that sense of where his YouTube will probably never allow him to get back into that rising category or whatever his Instagram. He's just like, I mean, I feel like you see it a lot like on Instagram where someone will have like 1 million followers and there's like 800 likes on a photo and you're like, oh yeah, that person got fucked on the internet.
The
like
internet
something weird
does
happened
not
there.
like you
Something
anymore.
weird happened there.
Did you ever not want to be a pro skater because of
I mean, I don't think I had
like an aversion to it?
an aversion to it, but honestly, I really wanted to race motorcycles, like race dirt bikes. Like I really wanted to do that, but person who in my life that bought me my first 110 was my mom's husband at the time, and he kind of left the picture around when I was like 14. Like didn't leave the picture, but they split, and so I mean at that point it's kind of like
when you're a kid, you need someone to take you to the track.
Yeah, and it's just like it wasn't my dad, it's my mom's husband who was my stepdad, and now like what am I gonna like keep? Like we still have a great relationship, but at that point, like it's harder.
Not hanging out with that guy.
I'm not gonna hang out with him as much as I would if he was just my stepdad. But he bought me my first bike, a 110, and then I went to the KX65. Then I got the YZ85, and then right when I was stopping riding, I got the CRF 150, the 4-stroke 85 version, I guess. And
underrated.
I wasn't.
Bike.
It was a sick bike. I mean, it was like pretty cutting edge for like that time. I feel like, but I wasn't fast enough to like actually be taken seriously, but I just naturally have always kind of been decent at like sports, I guess, or action sports for whatever. I think just being on a skateboard my whole life, like it just something clicks pretty easily for me. Balance wise, at least, not like things are easy, but just certain things that maybe it would take certain people to overcome. And a lot of time just came from me being on my skateboard so much as a kid. And so like I was like able to get around a track, but I wasn't fast, but I wanted to race, but it was just, I just didn't have the like family support that you need. Because my dad just didn't have the time nor the knowledge of like, he doesn't know anything about dirt bikes, so he wouldn't be able to help me there, you know? And then that kind of just ended when my stepdad at the time wasn't around. But I got some sick riding in when he was around. I rode like Elsinore. That was kind of my home track.
Stomping ground.
Yeah, Paula wasn't there yet. Paula opened like right after like I wasn't able to ride, so I was like, fuck, sick. Right there, yeah.
So how long then between when you stopped riding to when you started riding again? Was it just like always a thing that you wanted to do?
I kind of always followed it and then kind of fell out of following it maybe in the like end of the Villapoto era, like kind of like Dungey era was when I was like not really tuned into motocross much. It was hard to watch. Like it was hard to know how to watch it then. Yeah. Like I remember like I'd be lucky if on Speed TV I got to see like an outdoor race going on, like just by chance. Like, oh shit, it's on. Like I'll watch it because you're just a kid and you couldn't just like Google when is outdoor motocross race happening or whatever you would, you know. But so that kind of fell out of it then, and then I got a bike I think when I was like 24 again maybe, and just kind of like randomly would ride, like nothing too crazy, and then was just kind of like here and there going to the track. And then maybe in the last like 2 years I actually like had the time again, and like I was like, okay, I want to fucking ride dirt bikes again. So I was able to get back into it like as much as I would want to, you know.
What was the first bike you got when you got back?
I got the RMZ 250 from this place down in Oceanside. And I always wanted a Suzuki because I remember as a kid, like all the fast kids had the RM85s.
Yeah.
And you'd see them at like Paris and all those places just sending it. I don't even know who any of the kids were, but I remember there was
probably were just riding with literally everyone.
Yeah, there was a group of kids that were really fast on the RM85s, I remember, and those were like the kids. And I was just like, man, I want an RM85. And so when I got a bike again, I was like, fuck it, I'm going yellow just because I like
to scratch the itch.
Yeah, and you know, people hate on Suzukis, but I liked it. I thought it was for me, it was plenty of bike, you know.
I wonder who it would have been. It was probably like Nick LaPaglia.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I was trying to think about that one day, like look back and think about who the dudes were around. I remember I had a homie that bought a couple bikes from Blake Baggett, like super minis, like KXs. Yeah. He was pretty fast, and his parents would buy the used bikes from Blake Baggett at the time. And so I mean, I feel like I was like 1 or 2 degrees away from like the fast guys, just because I was just in the like SoCal, you know.
Yeah. You were probably just sharing the track with literally everybody all the time, and you just like didn't really.
I didn't really know, but that was just because I wasn't from that world. I was like a skate kid, you know.
Did you race at all?
No, I never did. I never raced, but I would go just ride the track all the time. And I just, for some reason, really liked riding the track. I didn't really want to go to the desert. I wasn't really like a desert guy. But the World Vets was like the first real race. I did Supercross, but that was this year too.
Oh, so that was your first real race?
World Vets, yeah. That was like my first real gate drop. Yeah.
That's sick.
It was super fun. It was like a fucking like full childhood dream just to get to go like do a motocross race with some homies. It was cool.
So, had you ridden Glen Helen much before that?
One time in my life.
Dude, you just really threw yourself.
Just went for it. Yeah, no, that track was fucked. Like, I'm glad that other gnarly pros said how fucking gnarly the track was, because I felt like I was so out of my depth there. I was just surviving in my first moto. I was like, this is my pace. Whoever wants to pass me, if they're faster, good on them. But like, this is how fast I can go on this track, because it was brutal. I could not find a clean line anywhere.
Bro, I trained so much for last year.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fucking, I'm ready. Like, just bring it on. And then I went and rode Friday with you guys for the practice. Was it Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah. And I was so fucking far off what I was a year ago.
I mean,
I was like,
what happens.
Bro, this is actually insane.
It was scary.
It was fucking gnarly.
Those downhills were scary as
legitimately
fuck. Like I felt like I was looking at like a double black at Mammoth with moguls on it, and I was like, holy shit. I got to go down this thing at like a pace where I'm like competitive against people. That's fucking frightening. But luckily Saturday, the track wasn't as bad as Friday. So it made it feel like a little bit of a advantage, I guess. But
dude, the Saturday last year was crazy.
I can't even imagine.
I don't know what happened to that track that day, but Sunday was nowhere near as bad.
Yeah.
But the fucking Saturday was off its head.
Yeah.
And but it was pretty similar to Friday, to be honest.
Yeah, it was just like I'd be going up the hill and I literally felt like I hit a curb and my bike just stopped and I just start spinning up the hill. I'm like I'm not even gonna make it up like Mount St. Helen right now. Like that's how jacked the track was.
You're so lucky you're on a stock.
Yeah, it was really cool of them to hook me up and do that for me, because I can ride, like I'm not like a terrible rider, but like having a handbrake down those hills I personally liked that a lot more than having to worry about getting my foot over it on the brake, because I just pinch the bike and rip the brakes and just hope for the best.
Yeah. When we left, I said to Rones, like, this is the equivalent of like being an okay surfer.
Yeah.
And paddling out in like 10-foot face waves.
Yeah, like pipeline.
And just getting fucking annihilated.
Yeah.
And you survive and it's cool. And you don't drown and you don't get injured and you don't die. But you go in on the beach being like, holy fuck, I'm not very good at surfing.
You're like, I didn't ride today. I survived. I was not, the track was riding me. I was not riding that track. But it was cool because Trevor on Friday let me follow him for like 2 laps, and he was like, just watch my lines. And I followed his lines, and that actually helped a lot for my moto on Saturday, because even when it was really rough, I was able to find like the least rough section I could, I guess, because his lines were just perfect everywhere.
Yeah, he's a fucking freak.
Yeah, he's super cool. I like him because I feel like I can relate to him more as like he's more like a skater, I guess, versus like a moto dude. And even though like all the moto dudes are super rad and like they're my homies too, but Trevor has more of like he just has a different outlook that is more like in tune with skateboarding, I guess. But he's just a monster on that track,
dude. And the podcast when he was talking about like how many laps he's done there, fuck, it was cool.
Yeah.
Like I get it. When you watch him ride, him around that track, you're just seeing thousands of laps.
Yeah,
you're just seeing a guy that knows that like a surf break.
Yeah, he
knows the reef. He knows.
Like he said,
the winds.
He could at night probably ride it with no lights, like he was saying. Like
probably could,
because he just knows that track so well, which is pretty cool. Like that's sick to have that on your gravestone. Like when you're done riding, is like
I was
the king
best
of Glen Helen. Like a track like that, is like that's just such a monster of a track that everyone races at. Everyone is ridden, and for it to be like almost unanimous that it's like this time and place, like right now, Trevor is like that king of that track.
And seeing him on a stock there,
pretty sick.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Just fully ripping that.
I mean, dude, those things are so fun. Like I get all the controversy. I understand people's opinions of combustion versus the electric, but for me as someone who's just like trying to have fun, that thing is so fucking fun that I ride that thing anytime I get the chance.
Oh, and just the ease of use.
Totally.
Just to get out there, not changing gears.
Well, it's so user friendly.
Work.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like
slide the little bar. I feel like a pussy today.
Yeah,
Today
exactly.
I feel great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, going up those hills on that thing was definitely a lot more fun than trying to fucking jam gears and do all that stuff. But I've ridden, a combustion bike my whole life up until only like maybe a month before the Glen Helen race. So it was still pretty new to me, but I just went for it. I was just like, fuck it. I'll just send it.
Yeah. Yeah, did you pass many people on the hills? Up?
So the first moto, I pulled maybe like 6 out of the gate, I think.
Yeah.
And then I was probably there for maybe 2 turns. And then we were talking about this earlier, I just tripped on after the event, like the sandbagging that goes on in motocross, because in skateboarding, there's no such thing. You can't sandbag. Like you can't, it's just you versus you. There's no one to, there is competition, but there's no,
there's no like grades.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The competition side of skating really doesn't matter. Like the industry doesn't care about contests, which is complete polar opposite to motocross. But yeah, I mean the dudes in the top 15, and I was a novice, 30 plus novice, and the dudes in the top 15 were running like fast intermediate lap times, some expert lap times, which is crazy to me that someone would do that. I don't care personally because I don't give a fuck where I finished. I was like, I'm just here for fun. But I could see how if you were there to like take it seriously and you've been maybe, putting in a lot of work and you're more of a newer rider and then you just get smoked by someone who should be in the top 15 in the expert class, that probably would kind of suck. Like if that's your thing. But so they took the top 20. There was like 75 people in novice and 30 plus novice. So they had 2 gate drops. They took the top 20 from those 2, I think, and made it one fast class, which is like novice A, and then the whatever people below it were B, and I think I got 21st, so I was like technically the
First
fastest.
qualifier.
I was the fastest slow guy.
Yeah.
And so in my moto, I won my second moto, which was pretty cool because I had never raced a race, and I was leading, and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And I kept seeing look back the guy, and I would be gapping him a little more, and I was like, just don't make a mistake. And I caught the gate in front of us and passed a few people, and that's when I passed people up the hill, which is pretty cool because I was like, it was second moto on Sunday, and so the track was really good, and so I was just like, I'm just pinning it. Like down the hills, I was just fully on the gas going or whatever on the throttle, and I caught people in front of us and passed a few up the hill, and forgot my gloves, so I had no gloves in the race.
What the fuck?
We got to I had my gloves with me, and I was the second gate drop, and I did the first gate drop the day before. So you have plenty of time to like, all right, like everyone starts firing up their bikes, and I'm sitting there, and the first gate drop goes, and then I'm like, oh yeah, fuck, like I just roll up and go. Like it's not like a whole nother thing. So I'm like trying to put my gloves on, and then I'm like, fuck it. I just threw them on the ground, and Ryan Ritter, who helped me like get the start and stuff, he was just like, are you sure? And I was just like, fuck it. And I just fucking bent down and just went for it, and I got the whole shot and then led the whole time. It was pretty cool.
Have you got any photos of you without gloves?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch. Someone posted something about it, like some dirt moto magazine or something, like
that's so
saying
sick.
something about it. But
is it on your Instagram?
No.
Or would it be like your tag? Would you be tagged in it?
I don't think I have the tagged available on mine.
Right. That's iconic, bro. Winning
was
a
pretty
moto
funny.
at Glen Helen without.
Dude, I was sweaty and my hands were falling all over the place. Oh, actually, you know what? In the straightaway clip on this, I don't have them on. But yeah, it was fun, dude. I was like getting to live out my childhood dreams of just racing dirt bikes and having fun with my homies. But it was pretty sick. I think, yeah, right there, no gloves.
No way, dude. Is that Trevor Stewart?
Dude, I was fucking on the rails right there.
That is fucking legendary,
But
bro.
it was pretty funny.
Oh,
But it almost like fit the vibe of a skate dude riding moto. Like I just had my flannel on and no gloves, and I was like, fuck it. I mean, I'm not that much of a kook. I just promise I forgot my gloves. But at the end of the day, I was like, whatever. I was leading my race, so this isn't my thing. I'll take it.
Dude, that's fucking cool.
It was fun though. I had so much fun. Like everyone was so cool, and it was cool to get to watch dudes like Trevor, like that's his shit.
Bro,
like
how are those fucking fast guys there?
Yeah, it was gnarly. It was super gnarly.
Oh, and they just send it. Like him and Mosman.
Yeah, that was a good battle all weekend.
Crazy battle, man.
Yeah, that was cool to watch.
Couldn't be more different people, too.
Yeah, I know.
both
It's
just
literally
legends in their own
polar
right.
opposites.
Yeah.
But I felt it was harsh how they had so many gate drops on the 25 plus pro, because like they were getting caught up in people within like the first 2 laps, and it was like they were just zigzagging people the whole time. And I mean, obviously that's maybe where Trevor's knowledge of the track ultimately put him on top, because he just was able to bounce around wherever. But yeah, you had like, I think it was, I don't know, like 50 plus intermediate out there with the 25 plus pros or something. Like that's a lot of
Glen,
different
Helen,
speeds.
I'll take your money.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, yeah. You want to go? Yeah, fuck it. We'll just
A lot of different skill levels on the track all weekend at the same time.
Yeah, they're just like, line them up, boys.
Yep,
Let's fucking go.
Let's go. But yeah, it was brutal. I saw a photo that Phil Nicoletti put on Instagram, and it just looked, it looked like not even like
hill?
a track. It looked like a hill climb in like Beaumont or something. It looked ridiculous.
Well, on the Friday, I just thought I pulled off the second practice because I'm like, I broke my forks.
Oh yeah.
And they're just like, nah, that's a bro.
Look at that war zone, dude.
Oh. And then look at on the other
I was
side.
bouncing off every single one of those curbs going up, and like it felt like I was sacking a handrail when I would hit the bike, and my seat would just hit my balls as hard as possible. I was like, oh.
Yeah, how was the body the next day?
I mean, I was all right. Like, I'm used to just abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's weird about moto is you're not really falling much. Like, I was talking about that with a buddy of mine who rides, and I was like, skating is 95% falling, 5% of the time you make it. Moto is you're on the bike 95% of the time, 5% of the time you're falling. And I feel like I see that a lot when moto dudes fall, that you can tell they don't really have a good grasp of how to like fall and catch themselves.
Yeah.
And not like a knock to them, but it's just because
you're just
not
doing it all the
falling
time.
that much.
Yeah.
Like I fall all the time. Like skating is just literally, you're just falling all the time. And so I've gotten out of some pretty crazy shit on the dirt bike and BMX with some homies where they're like, how the fuck did you get out of that? And I'm like,
I do this for a living.
I just know where the ground is. I know how to roll out of
And where
stuff
you
well.
are in
Exactly.
relation.
Yeah. So
That's the one thing with skating that I could just never. I mean, like we had a mini ramp when I first moved here. We like got a mini ramp. The guy I lived with, he had like he was a pretty good skater.
the classic
just
neighborhood
a little
mini ramp,
SoCal backyard mini ramp. And it scared the fuck out of me, dude.
Yeah.
Just to know, like,
yeah, dude.
every time.
I mean, skating is like a lot of small injuries all the time, and moto's the one big one, like every so
Randomly,
often.
yeah.
And that's kind of the sides of the spectrum of wherever you want to land, I guess. But I just decided, fuck it, I'll go both. But I mean, it's helped me a lot, like falling in moto, knowing how to skate and get out of stuff, because I just know how to run out of stuff really well. I know how to tumble really well. And it's helped a lot for sure.
Dude, jiu-jitsu helped me a lot.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu too. Skating helped a lot for me in jiu-jitsu with my balance. I didn't realize how good a balance I had until I would go in there. And just the other day, I was with a guy who was an MMA fighter, and he was like a wrestling coach, and he was like, you're the weirdest person I've ever rolled with. It's like rolling with a D1 wrestler who doesn't wrestle back. I cannot take you down. He's like, it's the weirdest thing. And he's like, have you ever wrestled? And I was like, I literally just did jiu-jitsu the last few years, but he's like, it's so weird. And then that's what they're like, the skaters are so hard to take down because we're like cats. We can just always find our feet, which is, I didn't think would help me anything else in life, but it did.
Dude, I fully get that analogy.
Yeah.
That you're just like not actually offensively wrestling.
He's like,
back,
you're
but
so hard to take down. He's like, it's honestly really annoying. He's like, because you're not wrestling back, you're just not letting me take you down, and people get so frustrated. It becomes like almost like I was telling you earlier, like when I was a white belt, it was like everyone would just want to try to take me down. It was almost like good wrestling practice for them because I wouldn't wrestle back. I didn't know how to do anything, so I'm like, all right, I guess I'm just trying to stand up. And sometimes I'll use it to my advantage where I'll just stand up. Like someone will be like, I don't know, like on my back, like whatever, and I just stand up and just start shaking, and like they just eventually fall off, and I'm able to stay on my feet. But
So I'm the exact opposite. I just like, oh, you want to take me down? Cool. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I fell over. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, dude, I know. I mean, I suck at takedowns. I always hurt myself when I try to take people down, but I know how to counter wrestle well now just from being that guy, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing that I just feel like unless you've got some kind of background like you have, I just feel like all the times I've got hurt training was just
Wrestling.
takedowns,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Just,
It's so brutal.
and I just think it's such a lifelong skill. Like I got friends, the guys that I train with in San Clemente, all their kids do wrestling.
Yeah, they're going to be monsters.
It's like, that's what you fucking need to do.
Yep.
Like to be that guy. Like I did football, like we played rugby.
Yeah.
And you would like tackle people, but I mean, you're not, there's like a very different thing to just tackling somebody.
Well, it's like in skating, you're just all you're doing all day is your feet are just getting swept out from under you the whole time. Like unless you're making the trick, you're just getting your feet swept out from under you nonstop. So like I didn't even know how to sprawl on a shot. I just naturally did it when someone tried to take me down because I like my balance just made me do it, and it was like almost caught them off guard the first time I like was wrestling with someone at my gym because they were like, "Did you wrestle?" And I'm like, "No, I just I don't know." That just naturally kind of happened because I just wanted to stay up, which was kind of bizarre, but I still suck at wrestling. I can't wrestle for shit.
That's such a fucking good skill to have.
I'll take it. I mean, if in jiu-jitsu, as long as you can stop a takedown, that's enough for me.
Yeah. What I always wondered like how much of the slams in skating hurt. Are there some that like to someone like me that doesn't skate?
Yeah.
Where you're like, nah, it's fine.
No, they all hurt. Like,
that's what it looks
they
like.
Fucking
Dude.
hurt, man. Like I don't know. You just get this sense of like ability to compartmentalize it. Like my wife always says that to me a lot. She's like, you just compartmentalize pain like no one I've ever seen before. Because my dad does the same thing. Like you'll never hear him complain about being something hurting. And yeah, skating is a trip because I was thinking about this like when I knew we were gonna do this podcast about how like some of the moments that I've done, like things that will maybe be remembered as like the best video parts or the best tricks of my career were just me and like 3 of my homies there. Like it's not in a stadium full of cheering fans. There's no, it's just like me and my homies and some lady yelling at me because she's pissed I'm on her like sidewalk or something. And it's like you really learn how to like use your own motivation to get through stuff because there's no coach, there's no fans. It's just you, and you just have to learn how to like persevere through that. And that kind of, I feel like helps me a lot in other aspects of life.
That makes so much sense.
Like there will be a point when it's in a video and you get to premiere it and people see it, but like actually doing the hardest things I've ever done in my life was me and maybe 4 of my friends, like at some freaking, I don't even know, like some spot in wherever.
Yeah, like a school somewhere.
At a school or freaking a ditch or whatever it is. And it's bizarre. I mean, like my buddy Jacob, who has filmed me my whole life, it's like we have such a understanding of each other. It's like there'll be times when I'm just like I'm just like broken, like I'm just laying on the ground, like can't even get up, and like I've gotten close, and Jacob's just like, dude, you fucking got it, like you're right there, you fucking can do this. And that's like the only person that is there to like give you that glimmer of hope. And sometimes it works out and you make it and you're like, dude, I would have gave up.
Done.
I was done. Like I just could not. There's almost a point where I've had it so many times where I'm like, I'm so fucked right now that I know there's no way I'm walking tomorrow, that I might as well just keep trying until I cannot even get up off the ground. And that's like generally when you either make it or you get hurt pretty bad because you're just so mentally and physically depleted that your body just gives out.
Yeah, it's like a grind set.
Yeah.
You know, like you've literally just got to have the mindset of just grinding it out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, that's how it looked to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, either this shit doesn't hurt as much as what it looks like it does, or these guys are just so fucking gnarly.
I think, I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's like,
or does it just not hurt
so
in the
gnarly?
moment?
I think it's just that we've learned to, like I said, just compartmentalize it, know that we have maybe 30 more minutes to where we can still push through and get this trick. And there's so much that goes into like one skate trick for a video that, you know, you don't really put into perspective if you're not someone who's done it their whole life. Like there's been times when I drive 3 hours to a spot and you pull up and there's a car in the way and you're like, fuck, can't fucking do it today. Or you pull up and like you get a couple tries and someone's like, we're calling the cops, and you're like, fuck it, like I got 5 tries, I have to make it happen right here. And then if you don't, that can be pretty mentally taxing. And there's so many like elements. Like it'd be like if during a Supercross race there's a pedestrian walking around like, hey, get the fuck off that triple right now, and you're just like, you're in the lead and you're trying to win. It's like there's so many distractions that make it pretty amazing when like one trick like that finally does come together. That I think that's why it's so like impressive when certain people can be so like productive in skateboarding, because it's hard to make street skateboarding happen. There's a lot that goes into it.
Is there like a mental space that you occupy?
I mean,
like that you don't get in other places?
I think that the only time you'll probably ever see me mad is skateboarding. Like there's been times where I definitely do shit that I'm not proud of doing, like just like fucking throwing a fit and breaking my board, or maybe getting really angry with someone who like is trying to kick me out and I'm like close to landing this trick that I've been trying for an hour and a half, and we drove 2 hours there, and they're just end of the day just trying to probably like be a good person and maybe, I don't know, protect the paint on the rail from getting scratched off. But it can get to the point where you just mentally break. But as of lately, like since I got older, I'm just more patient now, and like I generally don't freak out anymore or have those type of moments. I just accept like today's not the day. You just fucking gotta pack it up. Maybe another day.
But I could see when you're in that place where like you're getting broken off and it's just like the walk up the stairs.
Yep.
And then the fucking, you turn around and then your board goes on the ground and you like that. I feel like that part of the process when you're like really trying to make something happen, like that's probably a very pure place to be.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it to my friends before, there's nothing in my life that has made me as mad as being in those moments. Like a genuine rage that I could not achieve any other way. Like no one could get me to that point. They could say whatever they want to me. There's no way that they could ever get me to that point of it's just me, like you versus you, and you're just like so defeated by yourself. It's like such a weird place to be. And I mean, there's been times when I've gone back to try a trick 5-6 times and never get it. And it's just like, you just have to take that L and move on. And that, I think, teaches you a lot about other things in life, like Jiu Jitsu and things like that, where I was okay with just being like, yeah, today just fucking sucked. Got tapped out every single round. Fucking looked like a kook out there, and it's all good. I'm going to show up again tomorrow. Like, that's just how it goes some days. Some days you are the one winning, and some days you're the one, you know, crying at the bottom of the stairs. Like, I've been both many, many times.
Some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail.
Exactly.
Have you got any, like, sick parts of that? I just want to, like, I want to see, like, what's the, could you look up, like, the hardest thing? I want to see, like, because from the outside, it probably doesn't, or, like, to the untrained eye.
I mean, I had a part, if you look up Riley Hawk, nepotism, that was like the last part I did. I just named it that because I just was like, people are already going to talk shit, so why not just beat them to the punch?
That's so fucking good.
But this was pretty recent, 2022. I had one more part after this, but I've been working on something for a while, so I haven't had anything in a bit. But yeah, I mean, this is 2 minutes, and a lot of work goes into fucking 2 minutes of footage. But
like, that sucks.
But yeah, it's.
What's like the hardest part of this?
Fucking, I don't even know. Just stuff like that.
Oh, like that is fucking brutal, dude.
Oh, that one sucked. I remember I was so fucking cut up from that. That parking lot was so rough. But yeah, I mean, this was kind of right around when I was first starting to train jiu-jitsu, so I feel like I kind of was coming out of like a long stint of abusing alcohol, you could say, with when this part came out. So I was like freshly kind of trying to get my feet back on the ground, and
Yeah.
it felt really good to like skate how I wanted to again.
Yeah.
I just had a really long string of bad injuries that led to a lot of drinking and doing dumb shit that wasn't productive to my life, and that kind of hit me around 28, like we were talking about earlier, and like where I just came to a head, and I was like, I gotta figure something out because my life is going in a bad direction. But
It's I mean, fuck, it just is so easy to happen too. Like
Yeah,
it
man.
just, I think, and I've said it like a bunch of times on here, like I just fucking thought life would be so much easier.
yeah, I mean, it's like I've heard you say, like, you just think the last problem you're solving is the last problem you'll ever solve. But yeah, I jiu-jitsu was something that I kind of started because I had just come out of this like 4 or 5 year bender that I just was like, what the fuck just happened to my life? Like, I just had a lot of injuries. Like, I had 4 ankle surgeries in the span of 3 years.
No way.
And that really mentally just broke me. And there was a point where probably I was 22 and I was ready to just quit skating. Like, it didn't work the way I wanted it to. My body wouldn't do what I knew it needed to do to like skate at the right level of being like a pro skater. And so I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm just kind of done. And then when that was all going on, it's like, that's when the booze and the party and that stuff sort of entered the picture, and just kind of chased that for 4 or 5 years. And then just made a lot of dumb decisions and knew I was going down a bad road, and finally had the courage to like ask my dad for help. I was just like, I need help because this is like, I'm in a bad way and I don't know how to kind of get out of this lane that I put myself in and like deal with the stuff that I have going on in my brain besides without using alcohol to do it at that point. So had my dad help me and got some help and did some like serious therapy stuff and was able to just kind of get back to like a baseline of life where I was like, okay, like what do I really want out of life? Because the last 5 years was clearly not it. Like that didn't pan out how I thought it was gonna.
Yeah. Or you probably didn't even have a
plan. It was just, I got sucked in, and next thing you knew, it was, you're waking up, go get breakfast with a few drinks, then go get more drinks. Then it was just booze. Like that was just my life, was just boozing. And it was just like a sad existence at a certain point to where I knew. And the worst part is I was super functioning. Like you wouldn't really know, besides the fact that I just couldn't fucking pull it together to skate much anymore because I just didn't really care to. And then, so that's like almost a worse place to be, where it's like people think you're fine, but you're just like closet drinking, I guess, And then, so then jiu-jitsu was that thing where I was like, man, I gotta like, I don't know, I need some other outlet. Like I really love skateboarding still, obviously. Started skating a lot again and like feeling good. And that's kind of when this part and more recent stuff had come out. And then jiu-jitsu was like, I just need something that's like just fun. Like I don't need this mental stress of skateboarding, like ruling my life and kind of being the all end all of who I am as a person, because it was just too much like to take on at that point. And so I just started going to jiu-jitsu. A friend of mine was a purple belt at the time. He didn't train at the gym I went to, but he would talk about it. And I was like, I was always kind of a fan of MMA because if you're, alcoholic, you spend a lot of time at bars and they play a lot of fights at bars. So like, I kind of like would always be watching it like at bars, and I had a general understanding of like who people were and like enough. I wasn't like as into it now as I am now, but and he was just he's like, man, it's like, he's like, jiu-jitsu is like skateboarding. Like you'll be doing these things, and I'm sure it's the same with you with moto, where it's like these feelings of the two things hit the same like type of feeling, and it's like feels like it's in unison somehow, where it's like if it's the same feeling you get out of it, like doing these different activities. And And I was just like, dude, you're fucking on, I don't know, you're like out there, man. I was like, whatever you're doing, that sounds cool, but like, I don't think that's for me, because I was not like a confrontational person. I was athletic. I wasn't someone who wanted to fight ever. Like, I was just not that guy. And then I had another friend who was going to the gym that I go to at the time, and he was like, just go in there, like, it's super cool. Like, the guy Jake Mapes, who's the owner of my gym, he's like, he's mellow dude, you guys will get along really well. So I just went one day, and then now I just haven't stopped going.
Fuck, it's cool that it can change your life even when you don't. I mean, I guess you were kind of in a place where,
no,
like,
it definitely changed my life, like, for the better, because it made me think more about my body as like something that is
to be respected,
and to be taken seriously, because you blink and you're going to be in your 40s and things aren't going to work the way that you want them to necessarily. And one thing I've learned from my dad is you don't stop. Like, he never stopped skating, and he's going into his, almost 60, and he still skates all the time. And it's like, if you just don't stop, you can
keep doing it.
Yeah. You might not do it to the level you want to, but you still are going to get those feelings that you're chasing out of it in some way, So that was kind of what it did for me. And like, I just got hooked and fell in love with it. And that was now, like, I do jiu-jitsu more than I skate, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's just something I do for fun. So it's like my fun thing I get to do.
How hard was it to ask your dad for help? Did he know that you were struggling as bad as what you were?
Not really. I think he kind of knew I was drinking a lot, and I'm the oldest of all my siblings. So at a certain point, there's just a lot going on in life, and it's not like I was living with my dad, so he's not really necessarily seeing it, but I was just making a lot of dumb decisions and just not being like the person that I knew I could be, as far as even just like a human being.
Yeah, not skating aside. Yeah. I can relate to that.
So,
for sure.
Yeah, I was just like, man, I just feel like I just lost myself, kind of, like, I just feel like I'm not who I set out to be. And that kind of was definitely hard, because we didn't necessarily have a relationship like that, where it was like we would talk about stuff like that, and it wasn't because of any particular reason. It was just how our relationship was. We had a lot.
It's that generation too.
Yeah,
like, I don't know that I've like ever really had any of those conversations with my dad.
Yeah, it was just different, and we had our life was so turbulent, from at least for me, because of the two separate families, and then adding in more step siblings, and then another marriages after that, and there was just a lot that I just didn't ever unpack with him. And so it was really good, because we were able to just learn a lot about each other, I think, through that more sincere, like, adult type conversation. And he was just like, whatever you need, I'll help you however you need to be helped, like, we can figure out whatever it is that we got to do. And then I just got into some like therapy stuff, and
it's so important, eh?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, I was definitely like scared to even do it, because I didn't want to
don't want to go there.
I didn't want to accept that that's where I had to go to get help. And it helped a lot, and it made me I feel like I found back to the person that I was like was as like a teen, because I didn't really drink even through my teenage years, not even like into my early 20s, like 22, 23, I still wasn't really drinking. And then, like I said, those injuries just opened that door to be
and
like...
you were playing in bands and shit, eh?
Yeah, I was playing in bands, and that...
Which means you're in bars.
Oh, it's
and
like,
clubs,
that's all it
drinking
is.
You're just shows.
That was definitely part of the reason why I just got over doing the band thing, is I was like, I really love playing music and being around my homies that play music and all that, but I just couldn't mentally take the like lifestyle anymore, because I was just
got to be a night crawler.
You're just a night crawler, and I just grew up being not that. I grew up a surf, skate, snowboard, dirt bike kid who I lived by the daylight, not by the moonlight. And that lifestyle is you're living by the moonlight, sleeping all day, and it was not for me. But
yeah, and it can quickly drag you into that world.
Yeah,
like we did some in my fucking past life as a filmer. Like we were doing a bunch of music doco stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We were like traveling with bands and like being on Warped Tour, and I was just like, and I fucking pretty much can't drink because of my kidney. Like I have that kidney problem.
Yeah.
And I just would watch these guys and just be like, holy fuck.
Dude.
Like, you're all cooked, dude.
When
like,
I think about how much I drank, I can't even believe my body functioned. Like, it's insane.
That's youth, though.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if I have 2 drinks now, I wake up and I'm like, holy shit. Especially now with like a son, I'm like, I cannot be hungover. There's no way. Like, it's just way too much responsibility. But I mean, that was how we were. Like, we would wake up, like on music tours especially was the worst, because all you have to do is just drink and fucking show up to the bar and play for 45 minutes and then
and you're
drink
like
more.
almost in character.
Yeah,
You know
you're
what I
just
mean?
like, you're like, fuck it, we're on the road. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not driving. I got an 8-hour drive. Like, and I never drank beer. That was the thing. I was just straight to the hard alcohol. I was not a beer drinker. So eventually it just turned into like, I'd buy like the half pint of the Jameson, and then that's like start the night off. And then I was just JMO on the rocks like all day. I remember this bar that we would go to all the time, called Larry's in Oceanside. It's like a little bar, dingy dive bar that the homies lived by. And this dude, Steve, he actually passed away recently. So RIP to him. He was like the bartender for like 30 years. But I remember one night I was leaving and he like pulled me aside and he was like, do you ever get drunk? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you come in here and you drink, 8 Jameson on the rocks and then you just walk out of here like you just fucking had lunch with like a business partner or something. And I'm like, that was when I was like, fuck, man, I am drinking a lot. Like, this is not good, Like, when someone like that said it to me, I was like, damn, that's kind of like, I don't know, it's not a good look, to be known as that guy. Like, I didn't want to keep going down that path, so.
Dude, I've been there with weed, though.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, you've smoked how much weed today?
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of weed, bro. Like,
yeah.
That's probably not the move.
I mean, as soon as I started drinking, the weed kind of left the chat because I was like, I don't want to chill. I want to go. Like, I'm going. But yeah, I was a stoner as like teenage kid. That was my thing. But
you can put some of that shit away. Well, I could in the past. I was like, oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and then you have and then the thing is like same vibe where I would have other people where I look at them, I'm like, he's a fucking stoner. And then you got those people like, man, he can smoke so much weed.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Me and my buddies were talking about that where we're like, yeah, it's like, yeah, weed, they say weed's not a drug. Watch what happens when your homie that's a stoner doesn't have his weed. They start fucking losing their mind. They're like I travel all the time with skaters who need weed. Like, it's like they have to have the weed. Otherwise, and I get it. Like,
I've been there.
There's vices and you got to have them. Like, right now, my only vice is like this coffee. Like, coffee is like my only thing that I need coffee in the morning. That's
I kind of now I'm like, I fuck myself up on coffee. I had 3 yesterday.
Yeah.
Had one late. Probably shouldn't have had it late. I couldn't sleep.
I'm drinking it at 9 p.m. these days.
Yeah, you're needing coffee for a different, I'm like recreational.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sport coffee right now. Like, this is an actual sport.
Yeah, yours is like performance
yeah,
based.
exactly.
Like, to take care of responsibilities.
But yeah, man, I think that, I don't know, so many people go through that and it's just like everyone has their own demons they got to fight, and it sucks to see so many casualties of it. I know so many people that have just ended their careers so early because they just couldn't cope with whatever they had going on, and they're just living by the bottle still. And it's like really sad, honestly, to see that happen to people that you grew up around and care about. And it's like just crazy how much it happens. When you're a kid, I feel like you hear about these things and you're like, oh, I don't know, like,
that could never be me.
Or just, yeah, like, I don't know. And the next thing you know, it's like someone in your circle is like, that's happening to them. And then next thing you know, it's like everyone's kind of like, what the hell is going on right now? Like, yeah, it happens quick.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, for me, I'd have my life together in like 2-year blocks.
Yeah.
And it felt like every 2 years I would fuck up a relationship. I'd fuck up in business.
Mm-hmm.
I would just fully do something that fucked my life up.
Yep.
So there was like 5 times in my 20s where I would just have these like major fucking meltdowns.
Yep.
And it was literally like around the time, it was when I got kicked out of the US.
Yeah.
And then I probably had like one more after that, to be honest, where I got out of my last relationship.
Yep.
And I just fully had to like really do some work.
For sure.
Because I obviously, like, knowing what I know now, like, I was just, I don't know, like, I think maybe you just maybe I got lucky with this. because this worked out and I really love it. And I really, like, I found something. I think the secret is almost like you have to find a thing and do it for the right reasons.
Yeah, I think.
And you can do anything for the right reason.
You get in you get out what you put in, I think. And I think when you're not chasing those other like external escapes and you're just like, I don't know, just focused and you're doing things for the right reasons, it's crazy how much ahead you jump ahead of the people who are still stuck in those bad habits of whatever it is that they're doing, you know.
And that's avoidance.
Yeah.
You know,
oh no, it's just straight procrastination, especially when it comes to anything regarding admitting to yourself that you fucking are sucking right now. Like that's the last thing you ever want to accept.
Yeah, and you never want to come across to other people like, and that's why it's cool to go to your dad and be like, yeah, I fucking actually need help. Like I'm not doing great.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the biggest steps. You know, like the people who recover from those things are the people who admit that they have a problem. It's like, that's why when you go to rehab, it's like the fucking first step of rehab. Yeah. You have to admit that you have a problem. Yeah. And it's like, it's not just like drugs or alcohol or whatever. It's like, it's fucking anything in life. Like
anything.
You have to admit like, oh, I'm not exactly where I want to be. I'm not exactly who I want to be. And that's okay. But I'm like going to go on this road of like trying to be closer to that person. Yeah. And then I think the other thing, like, at least for me through my 20s, I was just so insecure about shit.
For sure.
Just crazy insecure.
I think that's just...
And fully thought I wasn't.
Yeah, I think that it's a lot of people. And I think that those insecurities come from probably, I don't know, like maybe seeing people that, like, I know personally, my friend Jacob, who was the filmer that I was talking about, he kind of got his shit together a lot sooner than I did. And it definitely made me feel insecure because I was like, fuck, like I'm blowing it, you know? And like, I can see he's
you were
like
comparing yourself.
And I can see he's working towards a better version of himself. And I didn't want to do that at the time. And that makes you even more insecure because you want to like hold on to this, I don't know, you want to hold on to this thing that at the end of the day, like it sounds so stupid in hindsight when you look back and you're like, why did you just not have to drink every day? Like it's like so simple. And I have so many friends that still to this day, I'd be like, when's like, you think you could go like 2 days without drinking? And it's like, well, there's this thing, there's the blah, and then you're like, yeah, you're still in it, you know, like you're not mentally ready to move on from that. And that's not even like a bad thing. That's what I was into. I was there where it was like, oh, well, fucking the show tonight, and then you get insecure because you see these other people who are just like, I feel like, are on the right path and you're not. For me, at least, that's how it was.
Yeah. And then I think too, like there's a part where there's a part where you're like projecting that you're okay and you're projecting that like that it's your choice and that it's like I'm, you know, like, oh yeah, no, I'm fine, bro. Yeah. You know, like this is what I want to be. Yeah. I want to be doing this. And for sure. So yeah, you kind of like also get mixed in just trying to mask what you have going on. But I think, I think another thing that I've like really tried to come to terms with as well is just you're not in control.
Yeah.
There's just so much in your life. And I think that, at least for me, I was probably trying to control way too much shit in my life. Control the way people thought about me, control my career, control my finances, control. I want to be here. I want to be. And you have a vision of where you want to be, and then you're not there. And then you're trying to just control everything to get there. And it's like, at some point, you also just have to let go.
Yeah. I mean, accepting the things you can't change is like one of the biggest life lessons I feel like I've learned over the years, because one, people are going to do whatever they're going to do and you can't change that. And when you get invested in the idea that you can do something that you think is going to change them, or they're ready to do something that is going to change their life and they don't, it makes you upset. And that's because it's not your decision, it's theirs, you know? Like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's definitely something I had to learn too was just like, just step back and like, I don't know, my buddy said it recently. I thought it was like a good saying. It's just like, you just kind of over prepare for life and then you just go with the flow because you're just like ready to like, just kind of just whatever happens, like it's all good. Like, and that was, I think, over preparing in a sense was like me trying to get back to who I was as a person and know who I really was and accept that there's things that I'm not stoked on that I did and there's things that I am proud of that I did, and you can exist in both of those places. And that's kind of, I think, what being a human is. You know, you're never going to be all good. Like there's going to be stuff that just sucks and that you do that sucks, and that's just the mistakes of life. But I think that over preparing thing to me seemed like it was like, yeah, that's like,
yeah, makes sense.
You just get to a place where you can deal with things in a realistic matter. Like for instance, me and my wife's dog just passed away recently. We were talking about, and I had him for 11 years and like went through a lot of shit in my life with that dog, and he was like there for everything. And we both had a moment of just talking about how we were really proud of each other for the way we handled it, because that was not how we would have handled it, both of us, 5 years ago. It would have been fucking apocalypse now. Like, like
over. Forget
about it. Like, I'll see you in 2 months. Like, I'm going to be fucking paying the rent at Larry's for the next 2 months. But, it was just a good moment. Like, it's those little things that over time you don't even notice the change. And then when you're hit with a big situation like that really tests what you've learned in the last, X amount of time in your life, and you act in a way that you're actually proud of, you're like, wow, okay, I am changing as a person.
Yeah, and that's so true too, eh? And I think too, there's so many times where you don't see the negative times or the hard time. Like there'd be people listening to this right now that feel like their life would fucking suck. Mm-hmm. Just inevitable.
Yeah.
Right? The feeling you have now is what you are going to measure the new improved version of you against.
Yeah.
Like you actually need this part of your life.
Totally.
And I think when you're in that shit, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels very, very dark and very negative. And it's like, oh no, bro, like this will actually be the thing that you'll look back on. And this is like the gauge of how far you've actually come
for sure.
in the future.
Yeah. I mean, looking back on some of the ways I handled things so much less drastic than my dog passing away and just going off the deep end and it's the end of the world, this and that, and you're just like, a lot of things are so trivial in the grand scheme of things, but when you're just in it and you're wet brained out or whatever, your vice is that you're dealing with stuff with it, like, I don't know, you almost want to just dig yourself deeper because you're just like, you just want to be in it, and getting out of it at the time I did, I'm just super grateful that I had whatever light switch happened in my brain that was like, something's got to change like now, because this is not who you are,
Yeah. And when was it about the same time that you met your wife?
Yeah.
Like similar?
Yeah, super similar. And probably around like 27, 28 is when I was like really going through that transition. And I think there's a lot of studies about that age for men.
For sure.
Where that's like,
your brain's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm an adult now.
You're either transitioning into who you're going to become, or you get stuck in that person and you go even further in the opposite direction. And I've seen it both ways with a lot of my friends, seen people who are still stuck and people who've excelled and gone on to like really become really good versions of themselves. And that's like rad to watch and see. And I hope that, anyone listening to this that maybe is going through that at this particular age or any age just knows that like there was a time for sure when I was deep in the boozing that no way I would have ever thought I'd be where I am right now. And that's like definitely something to have hope for when you got to like just suck it up and push through whatever hard thing you're dealing with in like a more realistic way and just like face it head on, Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like it doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu, but, when you get something that you're really trying to work towards.
Yeah.
And you just have like a positive outlet. Because like what are you doing when you're drinking or when you're doing drugs or when you're doing whatever it is? You're like kind of escaping the reality of like if you strip everything away, just you sitting in a fucking room by yourself. Like that's what you're trying to escape from.
Totally.
Because you've got all this like negative shit going on and then you're like, you know what? Fuck this. Like I need to get rid of this. I need to go to a different place.
This could be a lot easier. And there's always a lot of people that all want to be in that same place. So, and they're all at the bar and they're always, they're always going to be there. And I mean, it was just one of those things where it was hard because you feel like you probably see it a lot you see it in everything. I was just so burnt by the time I was 22 years old. My whole life was skateboarding. I achieved every goal I could ever want in skateboarding. And it's so cliche, but I was like, wow, I'm not fulfilled.
Yeah.
Like skating was the escape before the booze and that stuff entered the picture. Like things are hard, go skate, whatever. I'm having a hard time, skate. This skate was that answer. And my dad's talked about it and stuff like that was the same for him. And he didn't learn it or figure it out till a lot later in life. And I'm glad to have him as a role model to see that you can achieve that earlier if you need to.
You know what it is.
If you know what it is. And so like 22, I'm just like, what now? Like I'm accomplished everything I could have wanted to accomplish. And I just got a pretty bad injury. Like at that point, I didn't realize the severity of what my next 3 years was about to become with my injuries and my ankles. And so I'm like, oh, I fucked my ankle up. Like, well, I guess like I'll just, I don't know, like see what other options life has to offer because I didn't do that at all. Like I wasn't the guy going to parties, wasn't the guy drinking in high school.
So you took skating that seriously for that long?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing other stuff, but like I never drank. I knew that I had like this goal that I needed to see through, and I knew that I had the ability to do it and the potential to do it. So it was like that always was
like
there.
hung over your head in a way.
Yeah, and I was I knew, which I'm glad I did have that foresight to know that like I had something I could accomplish, and I did. And there's people that will forever be like, well, the last name's Hawk, same thing as the Deegan goes through. But I actually did reach a point where the consensus was like, all right, like Riley deserves to be a pro skater for Baker, which was like, that was almost more of like, okay, I made it, I've won the critics over finally. Like,
was that like actually a thing? Like you got to a point where there
was like a major switch.
There was like
for sure.
This guy is just Tony Hawk's kid.
Yeah,
then like,
absolutely.
No, Riley fucking rips.
Yeah, once I was pro for Baker, it was like, all right, like Riley is a legit pro skateboarder, which was cool. And obviously there's going to be people that aren't in the skateboarding world that see that and they'll just instantly assume like, oh yeah, like he gets
nepotism.
Yeah, exactly. And so being accepted by the core skate community as like a pro skater was like all I ever wanted, and I did it. And then just still was kind of left with this like, I'm not fulfilled. And that was when those other things entered the picture. But the injuries were hard mentally. Like I had a really hard time coping with losing the thing I loved more than anything, which was skating, for like 3 years because I had I had a bad surgery that I had to get redone. And then I had that surgery that worked out and I got to skate a little again. And then I did the exact same thing to my other ankle within about 4 months.
What was the injury?
I just tore all my ligaments in my ankle, like all my major, it'd be like the equivalent of like tearing your ACL, MCL, meniscus all at the same time, but in my ankle. Yuck. And so I did that. And then the first surgery didn't work. I got a cadaver situation. I thought everything would be okay. I waited like 6 months, started skating. I'm like, this fucking feels like absolute shit. And I was just like, well, this is how it is. Then like, I got to just push through it. So I was wearing a brace all the time. Then I finally went and saw this other doctor, and we did another MRI, and he's like, I don't want to tell you this, but like,
it's fucked.
They might as well have not even cut you open because nothing is attached in there. And I was just so like defeated.
Yeah, dude.
I was defeated, but at the same time, I felt validated because I was like, okay,
at least I'm not.
Something is wrong. I know something was wrong. It didn't feel good. And then so I got these implants from him, who at the time it was a pretty like like newer surgery where they did the internal braces with the carbon fiber like synthetic ligaments.
No shit.
And so I did that. And actually the doctor who kind of was at the forefront of doing it came and like watched my surgery, because I was one of the first like athletes that was getting it at the time, who was like really going to put a wear and tear on this thing, you know? They were like, all right, this dude, we're going to see if this thing fucking works, because this dude is jacking his ankles up. And that was a full game changer. Like I bounced back so quick, like 4 months maybe. And I was like back skating.
No shit.
And then was skating well, and I was like, oh shit, like okay, like I still can do this. And then sure enough, same exact thing on my left ankle. Called that doctor right away. I knew I did it again. I was like, I just ripped everything again. I knew the feeling from my other ankle. And he's like, I was in Milan in Italy, and you're not supposed to fly when you get a bad injury like that because of blood clots. But I was like, fuck this. I'm getting out of here. I booked the first flight home, just fucking took as much baby aspirin as I could. And I was like, get me home. And I had a wheelchair, and they actually treated me really well, because they wheeled me into like the lounge, and like I got the full treatment first class because I was in like a gnarly wheelchair. But called him, and I was like, we don't even need to look at it. Just get ready to like, let's do the surgery next week. And he's like, all right. Because we were obviously going to do the MRI, but I was like planned to do the surgery because like I'm almost positive I did the same thing. And this doctor was so cool. He was a foot specialist, so like all he did was ankles and feet. And he was like, all right, let's put it on, and let's just MRI it when you get home just to be sure. And sure enough, it was all blown through. So did the same thing, and man, you learn a lot about yourself in those injuries, because it was just a lot of like just sitting there with my fucking foot elevated and like waiting as long as I could to go pee, because I knew when I did it was going to hurt so fucking bad to get up that it's like, I mean, you hear it a lot from the moto guys. Like I know they go through it bad because the legs are a big injury in the moto scene, but it sucks. It fucking is really hard to deal with. And I feel like that last season when I mean, this is kind of like a off topic a little bit, but I feel like when I saw what happened to Forkner in that last season, like my heart just broke for him. I was just like, man, like that fucking sucks. Like this dude cannot catch it, because I knew like how I had gone through something like that. Like the guy that just like all my friends were not getting surgeries. They weren't getting hurt. Like they didn't even understand like how serious these injuries were. Like my homies, like I had a friend who recently had to get ankle surgery, and he texted me randomly, and he's like, dude, like I had no idea how fucking bad you were down. Like this sucks. And I had 3 of them. I had 4 of them in 3 years. The 4th one was just a cleanup on my right ankle, but still sucked. But he was like, I just had no idea like how gnarly this was. And so that sucked. I felt really bad for him when I saw that happen.
Man, think about Forkner too. What year was him and Chase battling? Was it 17, 18? Bro, him and Chase fucking Sexton. And he's beating Chase Sexton all year.
It's got to hurt so much, dude.
And then Chase Sexton now has like every title.
Yeah.
And he was smoking the dude.
I mean, dude, it's weird. It's just like, I was just that guy. I was always getting hurt.
Watch this. This is the fucking, which one was it?
And I couldn't like figure out what I was doing wrong, or like what, that was just the path that I had to take in life. Like that was just where I was headed, I guess.
Fuck, it's the worst, eh? Go back. Oh, was it no good? Nah, yeah. I mean, dude, that's like, I think about that, and it's just like, think about where he was.
When I watched him fly off and fucking hit that ground, I got up and just walked away from the TV. I was like he might have just died.
Well, dude, so we were right there.
Yeah.
So we were up in a suite, and so I saw him go off, and I couldn't see him hit the ground.
Yeah.
All I saw was fucking sparks fly off.
Dude.
And I was like, oh my God, he's fucking dead.
Like that was bad.
Like it was, I mean, I saw the Trey Kennard crash.
Yeah.
Where Ryan Morris jumped on him, and I was like right there for that one as well. But I was like, that was the worst Supercross crash I'd ever seen. And then Forkner's one, I was like, holy fuck, bro. That is
like I don't
insane.
even know him, and I was like genuinely
Just
bummed out
gutted
that
for
night.
him.
Like I felt like I saw my friend like get, because I just, if you've been through those injuries, you just know how fucking brutal it is, and like how mentally hard it is to come back from that, let alone after you just came back from it. Like he just like that's
and the money
insane.
that's on the line and
Yeah.
the, like the momentum that's on the line for those guys is just fucking huge, man.
Yeah.
And the thing about it too, it's not until you don't ride or train or whatever. Like I can't remember. I've broke my wrist at Glen Helen in like April.
Yep.
And so I couldn't train at all. Couldn't ride. And then I remember I called my wife after training and I was like, I just did drugs.
Yeah, for real,
She's
dude.
like, what? I'm like, that shit's a fucking drug.
Yeah.
Like I had the sickest training session. I had so much
Like
fun.
it's psychedelic when
Yeah.
it works.
And I literally was like, I had to call her because I was like tripping. I needed to fucking talk to someone.
Yeah.
I had so much shit like pumping through my
dude.
system. And it was, I think I didn't, because like the injury wasn't that bad, but it was like a timing thing too. Like
Yeah.
I got hurt here, then it was like 2 months here. Then I went home. I had all this travel, like, so I just couldn't.
Just
fucking-
life was
I just couldn't
happening.
train, right? And man, it was just drugs. I just did drugs,
Yeah.
and I've had that
Legal
multiple,
drugs.
yeah, multiple times. And then you realize, oh, that's why you need this.
Yeah.
That's why. And if I go days without riding a bike, riding a mountain bike, doing jiu-jitsu, going for a run, going to the gym, like when you're used to those drugs like pumping through your system and you go cold turkey,
Yeah.
not cool.
It's gnarly. My wife will tell me, like, she knows,
She's like, you need to train.
or like I separated my shoulder really bad last year in December, snowboarding, of course, and fucking, I couldn't do much. And she's just like, man, yeah, it's like, it's hard to watch you in that state because I like almost start to revert back to that like 23-year-old version of me where I was just having so much mental, physical trauma, like
Yeah.
at once that I couldn't cope with it. And now I've learned obviously how to deal with it much better, and we're just very grateful for where I am in life. But it's like that primal thing starts creeping in again, where when you can't do these things that give you that outlet, it's definitely, it's hard.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny too because I like you hear so many people and they talk about like jiu-jitsu or whatever and they're like, oh, jiu-jitsu saved my life.
Yeah,
You hear it all the time.
for sure.
I didn't need saving.
Yeah.
Like I literally had a friend's kid. He's a fucking beast now. Like he'll be an 80cc one day.
Yeah.
But he was like an 8-year-old and he was just like pro at jiu-jitsu at 8. Just trained,
Yep.
did wrestling in the mornings,
Next
jiu-jitsu every
generation.
single night. Like he was just, it was his thing. And his dad's one of my best mates and he took him. I went to watch him train. They flew up from Sydney to compete, sorry.
Yeah.
Flew up from Sydney, do a competition, and I'm like, I've did karate, taekwondo, boxing like my whole life, and then always watch UFC.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, fucking omoplata. Like I
Yeah.
was like screaming out
That's
shit.
so
And he's
sick.
like, do you fucking know, like, have you ever done this? And I'm like, nah. And he's like, you know like enough about this to do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, huh. Yeah, I've never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Just had maybe the worst thing ever happen in my life of like getting fucking kicked out of the US.
Yep.
Went home, no money, no fucking job. Like I think I was 28, living at my parents. Everyone I knew thought I was a fucking loser. Like
Perfect time to start
just got
jiu-jitsu.
off that like you've ruined your life again
Yep.
train that I was on. Went to jiu-jitsu and like it. I don't know that it fucking saved my life. Like,
Put you back on track.
It just changed everything.
Yeah.
You know, like it just gave me such a crazy good outlet and something to like really work towards and
Yep.
something to really get better at and really want to get better at. And I think it helps like if you're like, if something comes naturally to you, I
Yeah.
think that also you get like a bit more positive
For sure.
feedback. But I also I think I just fucking told myself I was awesome from day one too,
Yeah.
you know.
I
Fake
mean,
it till you
dude,
make it.
like whatever. I mean, you got to have a little bit of an ego and everything just to get you to get
Just to
yourself
get you
to come
through the
back.
door, yeah,
Get yourself to come back after getting your ass absolutely fucking whooped for an extended period of time. Like, you know, the first I don't even know, 6 months. Just
Pretty brutal.
it's just straight, just getting. I mean, I guess unless you're like Nikki Broad, like just come in and fucking start serving people up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a thing where you have to you learn to just keep coming back and just be like, all right, I suck at this. It's one thing that I'm glad I've always been down for in life is I'm down to not be good at something and not be embarrassed about starting something new. And I know a lot of people in my life that have a hard time doing that.
Yeah.
And I've always just been like, it's all good to just be not good at something. Like that's what's gonna happen. And I think it comes from growing up. I was always generally like the best skater in the situation, whether we're like if we're at the skate park, or I had a lot of friends that were really good too. So we would be like a group of like, you know, like the black belts that are like freaking 16 years old, what would be the equivalent, and we'd be at the skate park.
Like a little Tyra Tolo at the
like
skate park.
Totally. And I just never once would see someone trying like to drop in for the first time and be like, fucking dude's a kook. What is he doing? And I think that always resonated with me because I was like, people aren't thinking of me like that when I'm trying something new. Like most of the time they're stoked that
Ronan's shirt was inside out for 9 holes and no one noticed.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. But yeah, it's like, that's just yourself telling you your own ego that like these people are making fun of me. They fucking, and if they do, then that says more about them than it does you. They're the kook if they're the one like making fun of a person just trying to learn something. And you don't know what you don't know. Like that's such a, I feel like, true statement. Like how can you get mad or like make fun of someone for not knowing something?
Yeah.
But if you tell them and you help them and they learn and then they know, then there's grounds to maybe be like, yeah, you don't do that. You're being a kook. But when you don't know, like that's where you're at in life.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, it's easy to forget to show a little gratitude, not just to others, but to ourselves as well. Life gets busy, and in the chaos, we rarely stop to acknowledge the effort that we're putting in. Whether it's setting boundaries, taking care of loved ones, or just getting through the day, that is all worth celebrating. Therapy can be a great tool to support you in that journey. With BetterHelp, you don't have to wait or travel to find that support. It's entirely online, making it flexible, and it's designed to fit your schedule. Just take a quick questionnaire to get matched up with a licensed therapist, and if things don't click, you can switch to another therapist at no extra cost. I've been in therapy for a while. My wife and I, we do couples therapy. We have ever since we got married, and it's something that I really, really value. I don't feel any stigma around it. I don't feel weird about it. A lot of people wait as well to get into therapy until they have a major problem in their life. I've always believed that getting ahead of these things is better than, I guess prevention's better than cure, you could say. So if you've been thinking about trying therapy, then why not give it a go and let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/gypsy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/gypsy. Yeah. No, it is so true. And I think about jiu-jitsu in that way of when I'm doing it consistently, like every day consistently, when I've got that in my life where I can do that, that's when I'm the best version of me.
For sure.
Physically, I'm the best version of me, but also mentally, I'm the best version of me. And at the start, it was because I could show up even though I like wasn't the best guy or I wasn't good at it. Mm-hmm. And then the further you go along, there's like 50% of the people I'm way better than, 50% of the people I'm not better than.
Yep.
Then you end up in a place where your ego has to work in two ways.
Yeah.
Now you've got to be really fucking cool to the people that you can kill.
Yeah.
And then you've got to still be really cool to the people that can kill you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you then you get to walk that line every day. And bro, I get fucking anxiety every time I drive to training. I don't know if you do. Every fucking time.
Yeah.
Never once do I go to training with zero anxiety
There's
around
definitely that
performance.
Heightened scent of like something could happen right now.
Yeah.
I think that's most like going to moto, going to like I could be going home not the same way I came into the situation. Like that's generally like
Well, I think even
how it goes with those type of things.
I don't get it when I ride. I don't get it. Like jiu-jitsu is like the most place
Interesting.
that I get it.
I think I don't. I mean, not like out of a sense of cockiness, but I don't think I really get it with jiu-jitsu just because with skating, it's so intense to where I'm like, all right, bye, babe. Like, I'm going to try this trick. We're going to this spot. And like, I know like
There's
my life
consequences.
could really change that day. Like something really bad could happen that day. And it's happened. So I know like there's been times when I'm literally like sitting in the ER and I'm just sitting there just like, what the fuck just happened? Like I was literally just with the homies skating an hour ago and now I'm sitting in the ER and it's just like the worst feeling, you know? So you know that is a reality.
Is on the horizon.
And so I think that has not been as much of like a thought in my head with jiu-jitsu just because it's just feels a little less high stakes to me at least because I'm not like we're not like doing competition rounds every single day. Some days I go in and I'm just like trying to just cruise and get a couple good rounds in, but mainly just like drill or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and I think for me, like that's the thing. That's like the reason to go is because I get to train that part of my brain that's like, just crew, let's let it go.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's
all
not so
good.
much around like getting hurt or anything like that.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
purely like me. I guess that's my me versus
yeah,
me.
that's you versus
You know,
yeah.
because I am like in those situations crazy fucking competitive.
Yeah.
And like I have that gear in me. And so it's like for me to like put that dude in check.
Yeah,
And when I'm doing it every day and I've got a handle on that guy, like that part of my personality or my psyche, like that to me is the thing. It's like it's a very rewarding thing when I'm like, I can go there and I've got control of like that part of me, you know?
for sure.
And then, you're helping people, you're helping new people, you're working with people that are getting ready for a competition.
You got to be patient for sure in there, especially when you get, you know, partnered up with this new dude that maybe that was not what you thought you would be doing that day, where you're like, I came to like get some rounds in, get some freaking angst out of me. But sometimes I find those days I end up having a better day where, I mean, I actually, for a while, I haven't since my son was born, but I was helping. It was me, my buddy, and then there'd be like other people kind of switching in and out with me also, but we taught the 4 to 6 year old class.
Dude, that would be
and
sick.
that was like honestly my favorite part of jiu-jitsu was just helping kids like learn how to do it, and it was so much fun. And I was like, it was so fulfilling that there was some days where I couldn't even train the class after, but I would still just go just to do the kids class and help them because it just was like a really fulfilling thing for me. And it was nothing to do with, it was like completely selfless. And I think that's why I liked it. Like it was just for them. Like, and they didn't know who I was. Like some of them actually did end up finding, their parents would show them, like, they'd be like, I saw you skateboarding. I'm like, oh God, what did you see on YouTube? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they didn't care. I was just Coach Riley to them. And like, they would, you know, fucking say like not cool remarks to me, or they'd be like little shits or whatever. But like, I loved all the kids. Like they were all just, I'm just really good with kids because I had younger siblings my whole life. So I can just handle children well. And Ryan, who's the other coach, he's kind of the more like the reprimander, like the strict one. And I was like, guy. I'm kind of like the fun one that
You're
they'll
the fun
like,
uncle.
Yeah. Like I'm the one they'll stick their tongue out at, and I'll like, you know, play back with them. And Ryan's a little more like, we're here to do jiu-jitsu, which is good. They need that. Like the parents want Ryan doing that. Like being like, no, we're here to do jiu-jitsu. Like that's kind of what we're here for. But yeah, that was like something that jiu-jitsu gave me that I was not expecting, was like that kind of coaching, like mentorship aspect, which is, I really, really enjoy.
You would have made some like really good friends out of it?
Jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of those guys are like my brothers now. And
it's crazy, eh?
Yeah. And I mean, even Jake, like my professor, is like someone I would call my good friend for sure. And he is someone that I look up to in a lot of ways. Like he's a great dad. He's a great, just like coach to the gym. And yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like just these people that were not in my life at all. And now I see them more than most of my friends every single day. Cause I'm in the gym all the time, and it's a trip. most of the people in there didn't even really know who I was for like the first year and a half, like,
which is sick.
which was cool. But once they did, nothing really changed. But they would be like, "What do you do?" You know, I'm like, "Oh, I skateboard." Like, "Oh, cool." And then like a week later, they'd come back up like, "Dude, I fucking played the Tony Hawk. I didn't know. Like, that's cool." You know, and I think it's in Southern California, it's a little more normal to like those type of people are just around. Everyone's really cool. But yeah, it definitely is like just a really welcoming environment at that gym that I'm at, and everyone's just mellow, which is cool.
That's one cool thing about jiu-jitsu is it's such a great equalizer.
Yeah.
Like you look in moto and I mean, skate's probably the same because it's like such a low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
You know, but,
anyone could do it. Yeah.
Man, there's some guys in jiu-jitsu that like don't even really have a job.
Yeah.
Like in the gym when I started training.
Yeah.
Like they kind of just did jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
And they drove these fucking piece of shit cars.
And they're just savages.
And they would, fucking animals. And it's a cool leveler. And like that whole like, oh, what do you do? Like it just fully doesn't. It's like one place in life where that shit fully doesn't matter. Like you can respect a janitor. Like idolize the motherfucker. Yeah. Purely based on like the skill. And it's not just like how good they are. It's when you do it for yourself for long enough, you understand the road they've been on.
Totally. You know how hard it is to get there.
I know you. Yeah. Like, you're a fucking beast.
Yeah, and I think that you see that a lot in all sports, moto, skate, everything. Like, all the pros have a baseline respect for each other because you all know, like, what it took to get to where you're at. And even if, you know, like, dudes in moto, they're lining up, there's beef, whatever, you know that they have respect for the dude next to him because they know that on any given night, those top 5 guys can all beat each other if, you know, the situation is whatever it is. But I think that you just see that a lot. Just like doing hard things with people is always a recipe for just learning a lot about yourself and how to respect others, because when they're going through it too, you're like, yep, okay, you've been through the fire. It's almost like you just like, it's like a little nod. You're like, yeah,
I get it.
You see someone come in, even if they're not from your gym, they bust out the bag and they have a brown belt. You're just like, yeah.
Respect, bro.
Yeah, like you're like, I don't know what your journey's been, but yeah, you know that they've been through it. So
unless you're Aston Kutcher, then that's fucking pretty legit.
Yeah, I saw a video of him rolling with Craig Jones. It didn't look...
He did not look like a
didn't
brown belt.
look like the best brown belt I've ever seen. But then again, you watch videos of Craig with dudes and he makes black belts look like they're, you know, white belts. So who knows? But you mean, you could ask him, I guess. You know him, right?
With Craig?
Yeah.
Bro, he's a fucking beast.
Yeah, he's funny.
It's insane how good that cunt is at jiu-jitsu.
I mean, it's just someone you could tell it's just all he did was just freaking just do jiu-jitsu.
Hey, what did you think of the whole CGI thing? Did you follow that a lot?
I watched it, yeah. I mean, I kind of tried, and we were talking about it in golfing, I try to not tune in too much to jiu-jitsu just because I want it to be something that's more pure for me. And I'm so embedded in the skate industry that I know things that I wish I didn't know about a lot of things in skateboarding that kind of tainted a little bit. Yeah. And so, but I'm still a fan. So like I watched it and I think it's hilarious, like what he did. And I think, it was entertaining for me. I don't know if everyone agrees with whatever the drama was between him and ADCC because I don't really know enough about it, but I know that I was very entertained watching William Tackett and Cade go at it because that was fucking crazy.
Dude, Cade's doing the pod next week, apparently.
No way, sick.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see him in that last one fight? Oh my God.
Yeah,
he's going to be a problem.
Play that shit again. How long was the Cade Rotolo? Oh, fucking teed up the Forkner crash. Let's not watch that again.
I'd like to not watch that ever again in my life.
I'm done with that fucking crash. Bro, how's he doing the podcast 2 weeks after brain surgery?
Savage.
What a fucking animal.
He's got something to prove for sure. You could tell. Oh my God.
Look at this. Fucking.
Dude, that right hand.
40 seconds in.
I watched this like 20 times. He's like, oh, he fakes the shot and then just a haymaker over the top.
Oh.
What's lightweight in 155?
I'm not sure.
How's that? The Dars under?
Yeah, I know. Just fully giving up position.
No fucks.
Yeah, that's literally no fucks. So flew to Thailand.
Oh. God, he looks gnarly right there.
And they're all natty too.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's like, has the UFC even ever seen someone like that in the sport where the grappling is that explosive and that high level? Like, obviously the wrestling, but like,
yeah.
I feel like
but like that jiu-jitsu.
like the jiu-jitsu he has is so different than. That's why I see dudes like William Taggart too. I'm like, bro, learn how to strike for like 3 years. You could probably go have some damn good success.
Look at what, like, I don't really like Gordon. Like, I'm not a fan. Like, that's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I try to not tune into industries, because I'm like,
Bro,
I don't want to know any of that.
His jiu-jitsu, like, there's, I guess, you really need to see him. The problem is steroids.
Yeah.
Like, Nicky Roddy is right when he says, like, yeah, he's on steroids. Because that dude was, like, when you see, I saw him at,
it's like the Captain America when he like goes in the thing and then he's just like
legit.
But I mean,
because he's not much bigger than me.
He's got to do it, I guess, to compete with like the other guys, you know?
Yeah, but it's like makes a fucking huge difference.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, like his jiu-jitsu is so insanely good.
Like so technical.
So fucking good.
Yeah.
And if he took down John Jones, if he took down fucking Stipe, like...
Yeah, I wonder, right?
No, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
It's over. Like, they're fucking dead.
Yeah.
He's that good. And I think Nicky's, like, probably right there. Like, who is not getting choked by Nicky in the UFC?
Someone like, maybe like Kamzat, who's just so...
Yeah.
Because Nicky's not fighting a light heavyweight if he had to, right?
He'd be a heavyweight, for
Really?
sure.
I feel like he'd have to go way down.
Have you ever seen him?
No, I know he's big.
He's fucking big.
But I just mean like...
He might be able to get to like light heavyweight. But like, dude, he would
No,
roll
I mean, like,
people.
he's insane. I've seen him roll even like... I saw like him and Khalil roll and it's like looks like he's just playing with...
Murdered him, dude.
Playing with someone. But I don't know. It's just... Those MMA guys are gnarly. It's different.
Yeah. But like, just I think if he got them down...
But I think he could get as decent at striking as anyone in the top probably 10 in those
Well, you've
divisions.
only got to get good enough.
Exactly.
Like, you don't, like, look at Cade. And the thing is, like, with the threat of the takedown, like, that's what made Khabib so good, too.
Yeah. He
It's
always
like
scared.
literally just the threat. Like, how the right that he landed on Conor was basically because Conor was, like, getting ready to sprawl.
Yeah.
People know you're that fucking good.
They're scared.
And, like, you look at what Bo Nickal's doing.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him fight this weekend.
He's on this card.
Yeah,
this
him
weekend.
versus Paul Craig. Yeah, should be good. I think he's third on the main card.
Fuck, he's at a crazy rise.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen him and Gordon?
Yep.
Gordon murdered him.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he took him down, but it's just like,
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like he's honed those skills so specifically that if you step into his world, it's going to be hard to outdo him for sure.
So, yeah, I wonder, like, I mean,
we're seeing it right here. Look at Cade is.
Yeah, he's going to be like crazy, crazy, crazy good.
He just darced that dude and let him have side control and still finished him.
Yeah, that's what's gnarly.
Yeah.
Like, if you are that confident.
Because I was talking to Ryan Ritter about him because Ryan's super into MMA, so we'll like talk about it a little. But I was like, bro, because he didn't really know who Cade was because that crossover hasn't really happened yet.
You have to know jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, like that dude, I would be shocked if UFC doesn't come to him pretty soon and like try to get him over there. He'd probably have to go down pretty far in weight, I would think.
Yeah, I wonder what he weighed for this.
I think that's 155.
Yeah. Look at the size of his back, though, dude.
That's what I'm saying. If he got to like 45, I feel like he'd be a problem.
Yeah, he would be a fucking huge problem there. But I wonder how long his one contract is. I think it's pretty smart what they did, though.
No, it's sick. I like one.
They did because you can do both.
Exactly.
Like, you can just kind of like go in and out. But yeah,
he's so young too.
Yeah, they're like 21.
That's insane.
20. Man, I've rolled with Levi Jones Leary.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean,
dude, it was fucking hectic.
That's like going to the track with Jet and trying to like
yeah, literally.
or whatever, you know.
Yeah. That's one of the cool things about jiu-jitsu, right? And I think it's one of the things why you can like get better at it faster. Because like, all right, that analogy, perfect, me and Jet.
Yeah.
Let's go to the track.
Yeah.
I would see him for 1 second.
Yep. And then in about a minute.
And then in 3 minutes
Yeah.
time, I'd see him for 1 more second. So like, what the fuck? Like, where do you get a chance to learn anything?
Is there anything that could? Is there any sport that someone could do like what Nicky Rod did? I don't think it's possible in like a skate, a moto. Like
No.
it's just not possible. Like his physicality had he had a huge advantage. I mean, he's a fucking insane savage, but like I don't think you could pick up a sport and in 3 years podium at a Supercross. There's just fucking no way.
And that's like what he did.
That's what he did, which is, it's just hard to even wrap your brain around it. You're like, how, like, what? I don't understand how that's possible.
Maybe like sprinting or, you know what I mean? Like,
True.
but
yeah.
it's just got to be something with just your body.
Exactly. As soon as there's another element, it just, it takes so much time.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like just his body, extreme physical gifts.
And it's him versus one other person.
Yeah, and then the thing is, though, is like, so he trained with Gordon.
Yeah.
Best dude in the world.
Yeah, he
got
the right treatment.
Yeah, and that's like getting to be with Jet, but every time you do a moto with Jet has to stay 2 seconds in front of you.
Yeah, and you just would get to watch him.
Like what you did with Trevor.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you get to do in jiu-jitsu versus other sports that's different. And there's no physical, like you could fucking spar Connor, but you just get your head kicked in for like 5 minutes at a time and you ain't going to learn shit. But you actually can go with someone like really good and stay with them for the whole time. They might submit you fucking 10 times.
You're going to learn
But you're
going to
learn. Like, dude, I think I did one day where I probably rolled, it was just me and Levi. We just rolled for an hour.
Damn, that's sick.
And I probably did like 4 rolls in the gi and 4 rolls in no gi.
He's really good in the gi too.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's exclusively,
guy, yeah.
But I feel like I got 20% better at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, dude, I'm sure.
Just from that shit.
Dude, I bet.
And he would be like, oh, yeah, you're doing this. You're doing that. You're doing that. He's like, but you're doing really good. And I'm like, I did not.
That's us today golfing when you shank it. It was good contact, though. I mean, yeah.
Just don't hit it off the hole.
Swing looked good. But, dude, I mean, it's so crazy. Like, just how good some people are. Like, there's some dudes, at my gym, they just have my number. I just I can't crack the puzzle. I'm like, yep. All right, let's go. Like, I'm going to fucking try to pass your guard for 4 minutes and you're going to come over me 7 times. Like, let's just
let's get it over
with. Let's go through the motions. There's just some people that's just, I can't crack the code.
I feel like, I wonder though, like I think about that all the time. Like, I wonder if it does get better or like how much you can bridge that gap.
Yeah, well, I think it's just the classic case of you're both doing this.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like, you're never going to quite get that edge, but I bet you if you were doing this and they did this, then it's like all of a sudden you might catch yourself getting in a position where you're like, whoa, I've rolled this dude a million times and never been in a better position. And I don't know. I think that's just how it goes. Even with the white belts, I'll roll with like some of the newer, but like 2-3 stripe white belts, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't just like lay here anymore. Like this dude is coming at me right now, and it's like it's cool to see that, like, because I was that guy too, like you just see the people start leveling up.
Yeah, it's funny. We train with those buddies that I've got the mats at St. Clemente. 2 brothers, right? And they Taylor's the younger brother, Brandon's the older brother.
Yep.
25 years they've been rolling together. He's never submitted his brother.
Really?
And we were there. It was the fucking... I don't know how I feel about this, but they're rolling and I'm like coaching Taylor because he's getting beat up by his big brother. And I'm like, buggy chokes right there.
Yeah.
And he fucking buggy chokes his brother.
And he got him?
Got him first time in 25 years.
Oh my
of training together. Didn't know how I felt about that. Didn't know whether I felt happy for him or bad for him. But like, that's exactly what it's like. If you've got a guy that's better than you and you just keep it's just this weird staircase.
The best
and
recipe
it's so
is
hard.
Brothers. Like, that's the best jiu-jitsu recipe, I think, is just brothers that can train together all the fucking time.
Yeah. And these two, like, this is Hunter and Jet.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally Hunter and Jet
Yeah.
in jiu-jitsu, and it's these two.
Yeah.
I guess the Tackett brothers, too.
Yeah. I mean, my brother, who we have a different dad, but same mom who I grew up with because I lived with my mom a lot of the time in my childhood. He's extremely good pro skater. He skates for Weekend, Nike, Carhartt. He's really, really good. And a lot of people don't know because it's a different last name. But
What's his name?
Tanner Brzezinski.
Yeah. Oh, right.
But
oh, yeah. Fuck. See, I didn't know that.
yeah. So he is really fucking good, and he grew up just watching me, and like I personally think the younger brother always gets better. Like you see it with Jed and
It's
Hunter.
the same with my brother.
And I
too.
think like you'll probably see it with Jay Rod and Nicky Rod. Like I'm sure Jay is gonna reach a point where he hits a certain stride because you just have the older brother to compete with all the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
no,
just
that's
kinda how it is.
That's a real thing. Well, at least you know that your talent is not just from your dad.
Yeah, no, it's funny because my dad's not really athletic. Like he's not really good at other things besides skating. Like surfing and snowboarding, he's pretty good at because of like translates well. But like he would probably look pretty crazy trying to do jiu-jitsu or trying to hit a golf ball. Like it doesn't really. And my mom, on my mom's side, my mom's dad was like a football player, football coach, and I think that's where me and my brother get our athletic stuff
Yeah,
from.
because you are pretty athletic.
Yeah, that's like something I've always just kind of had without realizing it, was like definitely an athletic background. Like I grew up just doing everything. I was like, I want to do all of it. And my brother's dad, who was the one that bought me the dirt bike, he's really good at, like he shoots in the 70s every round. Like
Dog.
tennis, was a pro tennis player. Like he's like just an athlete. And I grew up around him a lot, so like we just grew up doing all that type of stuff.
And so your brother just saw what you were doing and was just like the grom. How much older were you?
3 years.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
like the perfect
it's
difference.
perfect. And it's actually crazy because I'm goofy footed.
Yeah.
And so I think naturally was regular footed, but he would just skate goofy because that's how I was skating, and he like kind of forced himself to skate that way. And now he is like fully ambidextrous to where he skates transition regular footed, and like he'll like do a huge air, Smith grind through the corner, come out, and then he likes to skate street goofy. So he turns around, then he's skating street goofy, and it's the weirdest thing to watch skating. Like I've never seen, there's another kid that's like it that is pretty popular on Instagram, but when I watch my brother do it, it literally hurts my brain. I'm like, I can't comprehend what you're doing right now. It's super bizarre.
That's mental, dude.
It's the equivalent of being able to just hit a golf ball both ways exactly the same.
Yeah.
Whatever way you want. Like, I'll give me the lefty club. It's a better shot that way. Like,
Yeah.
hit
I'm
the
up against
lefty.
a tree.
It's so weird.
Fuck, that's gnarly, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Did he have an easier time in skating because his last name wasn't Hawk?
I don't think easier. He worked really, really hard, and he kind of got recognition later than I did. Maybe in like his early to late 20s, he started seeing more shine, and then he just fucking grinded. Like he just skated all the time. Like he was nonstop. All he did was just skate, and it paid off for him, and it was cool to see like hard work kind of, get recognized, because all the brands he skates for are fucking super legit.
Yeah,
Like
it's like
Weekend,
huge
Nike,
corporations, yeah.
Carhartt. I'm like, dude, I want some Carhartt shit.
Yeah, fucking same, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's gave me some Nike golf stuff before because he gets all the Nike shit for free. He's like, we'll go golf with my stepdad, who is not really my stepdad, but was forever. I still call him my stepdad, or even my dad, because he was there forever. But
Yeah.
we'll go golf, and Tanner hasn't golfed in months and just fucking pipes a drive like 320, and my stepdad just fucking throws his club. He's like, this fucking kid, like, I can't even hit the ball 200 yards anymore. This kid doesn't even go. And then he'll like try some crazy flop shot, and Tanner will like get all mad that he can't hit some like insane flop shot. And Mike's like, dude, you don't ever golf. Like, what do you expect's going to happen? But he's so good at everything that that's his bar for where he should be all the time, Like, he's just one of those guys who's good at everything.
Fuck, the little brother thing is like so frustrating, but so real. Like you could go all through sport,
Yeah,
and just see that actually play out as like a fucking algorithm,
for sure.
essentially. Because, like, man, my brother was just there was like a point in time where I was better than him at everything, and then until I wasn't.
Dude, they got that like extra gear that you go through the fire and you kind of show them the path, and then they like
Well, and then they got
take it
like,
to the next step.
and then they just have like years of just living in the shadow.
Yep.
No expectations. No one's really watching them. You've got to take them everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there's so much that's like on the older brother that's extra.
Yeah.
Like for our case, right? Like we were just on BMX bikes.
Yeah.
That's it. Both my parents worked until 5 o'clock every day. So from like 2:30 in the afternoon to 5 o'clock, I had to look after both my siblings.
You were the parent. That's how I was too. It's like,
I'm just like, all right, we're going to the skate park. We're going to the jumps. We're going to the mountain bike track. So like you're just doing all this extra work of like the food, the organizing. It's like, we're going to go right here. I'm watering this.
You're the parent.
And then they're just like fucking around in the background.
Yep.
And then just years of extra work of just getting like, I guess, zero responsibilities, carefree, zero expectations.
You get to see all your mistakes.
Yep.
Not make them.
Yep.
Or make them if, I don't know, that's the road they're going down.
And then all of a sudden, the dude fucking rips at everything.
Yeah.
You're
So,
like,
dude,
what is
crazy.
going on?
It is sick to
rips
see.
on a moto.
Really?
Oh,
That's sick.
like ridiculous.
It's sick to see that Hunter is doing really well with Jet now in the 450 and like it's competitive at least, you know, like Jet obviously seems like he has a little bit of an upper hand in most scenarios, but you see Hunter giving him a run, which is cool to see that someone's like right there on his back wheel, you know.
I really would love to know what it's actually like to be Hunter.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's got to be frustrating, but at the same time, like
very rewarding.
Very rewarding and probably gives him like more fire too. Like, because if it wasn't for Jet, I mean, Hunter would just be the one, right?
Yeah.
Because like, I feel like Chase hasn't really been consistent enough to see if he's like got it like they do. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like no matter what, it's like family first, right?
Yeah.
So he would love his brother.
I bet you it's not as crazy as you would think, because I bet you it's like Cade and Ty where they're used to winning and losing against each other all the time.
But I just feel like Hunter never wins against Jet in that way.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's way less.
But maybe it's like, I don't know, since it's so close to home, it's not like he's losing to someone he doesn't know. I don't know, maybe it's like different. I don't know. I mean, I don't know them at all.
It's the
I've never met him.
mystery. Like even like knowing him, I don't really know. I don't know if anyone would really know.
Yeah.
Because there's probably a lot that he like.
I bet you
keeps inside,
their
you know?
girlfriends have a lot of
secrets
about how that relationship really is, because there's always that one significant other that gets the real spiel, but
gets the dump.
Yeah, but
I think no matter what, he's fully like it's not like I'm not trying to make it a
crushing
thing.
it.
Yeah, like
I
they're
mean,
both killing it.
It's like insane what they've done. I mean, I personally wish that someone would give him some smoke. Like the 450 class for me as a fan has been a little less entertaining to watch, and for like someone who just wants to see some good battles, like, I mean, the 250 class is more what I like to watch. Like, I am always rooting for Kitchen, and it's sick when he's up in the front and like I'm like tuned in, you know. It's like, all right, sweet, we got a race going.
Yeah, we got a battle, boys.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think he's cool because he seems like someone who, it's like kind of happening now in skate where you see these people that big companies are like, okay, it's not like we don't need to just absolutely drain this kid by the time he's 17 and have him be a pro. Like, he came on a little later and they're like, we see something in this guy.
Let's
like,
give him time. Yeah.
Or just like they're like, damn, like, who cares that he's a little older than maybe like the traditional route of what these factory riders are. Like, the kid rips, let's put him on the bike, and like he's killing it. And I think that's going to set a huge precedent for like going forward with those type of brands, because I see it a lot in skate now. Like, people turn pro at 28, 29. Like,
really?
I turned pro at 21. Like, 21 was like almost late when I would turn pro. Like, that's like if you're not pro by 22, 23, it's almost like it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Like, you're just kind of, you're never going to be a legitimate pro skater, and it's totally different now. And I think it's because we're seeing it in every sport. Like, you have so much more longevity than people think, as long as you don't burn yourself out. And I mean, look at the 450 class. Like, those guys, like, how old is Jason and those guys? Like, they're not old, but they're like
31 this year,
my age, and he's still like top 5 every weekend pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do? Do you get new younger kids, or like do you just stick to these guys that are killing it? Like, it's kind of a weird place for the sport.
Yeah, and I think I got a friend, Jeremy, who said he's Red Bull, like works at Red Bull. He's been in the sport for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And when Chad Reed was like on the cusp of retiring, and it's funny that Chad's like, no, he's like, I never knew about any of this.
He denies it.
Well, he's like, that's not real because I never heard of it. But anyway, there was a conversation about Chad Reed going to Red Bull KTM when Cooper Webb did. And even I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, Chad's like, he's fucking getting old, you know? I'm like, there's Cooper Webb. And Jeremy said something to me that didn't make sense at the time. But as years have gone on, it's just aged like fine wine. He just said it's so much easier to keep a Chad Reed than to make a new one.
For sure.
And the sport should 100% respect that way of thinking. And even like Cam Zink and Kyle Strait, right? Like, there's people that are like, oh, they're old, they shouldn't be in Rampage. It's like, let's just chill. We don't need to kick out the 2 fucking legends of the sport, like dudes that built this sport, because there's some fucking dope 17-year-olds.
Well, it's almost too like those are the people that have stood the test of time. Like, I remember when Jamie Foy, who's a pro skater, he won Skater of the Year, and it was like almost like out of nowhere. Like, he came on the scene, and within 2 years or so, like, won Skater of the Year. And I remember a lot of people were just like, dude, like, we don't even know who this guy is. Like, and you're gonna, like, not me, I'm just saying, like, that was like, some people were like,
consensus in a way.
We don't know this guy. Like, we're gonna give him this most prestigious award of all time, and then what if he just ends up being like a kook? You know, he wasn't. He's like he's probably gonna win it again this year because he's a fucking psychopath, and he's like, some of the stuff that I've seen that he's done that hasn't come out yet is insanity. And he already put out a part recently that is like just absolutely insane. But it's like we know these guys are true to this. Like, what if this new kid just comes in? Yeah, he's great for a year or two, like a Jason Lawrence, and then just burns out. And then like we invested so much into him, and then they're just like, they just take it for granted, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it can happen.
Oh, for sure. And like, the sport has gone through, that's like one of the things when I say like, fuck the privateers, like, let's fucking, they shouldn't be at Supercross. Like, I'm saying it in so many different ways than like just that bit, right?
For sure.
Like, there's so many people that should be racing and getting paid to race, and there's so much money in the industry. People always want to make out like there's no money in the sport, but that's a fucking lie.
I mean, I would say that probably the privateers are walking home with probably more than most pro skateboarders make.
I'm sure if you're making every...
Like, some pro skateboarders don't make money. Like, my friend who has a pro board, he doesn't get paid. Like, there's no money.
That's insane, eh?
Yeah.
But so, like, you got all these guys that are, like, really great. They should be... So you've got, like, the top dudes in the sport. There should be just 20 of the fucking best guys, especially for Supercross.
Yeah.
Motocross, I've said before, that's fine.
Yeah.
Keep that there. But you've got 20, let's have the fucking top 20 of these boys. And then let's have like 40 of everybody else that are fucking insanely good as well. They're just not that good. And like, have another series, have another place. Like, have a place where the 16-year-old kids can come in, be there for 3-4 years, go pro at like the same age as Kitchen. You know, like, everything's structured to where it's like...
A fan, I would probably rather watch that privateer main event, because
for sure.
It's like, those are the people you relate to, you know? Like, at a certain point, you just can't really relate to the top 10 Supercross dudes, because it's just like this unattainable thing. But like I like that dude Brighton Carroll, that privateer. He has like a vlog that I watch, and he's like top 15 at Supercross one time, and it's just more like I'm just like rooting for him, you know, and it's just like entertaining as a fan of the sport.
Well, and I think one of the things that this is what F1 does so good is, do you follow F1 at all?
I don't. That's like one thing that it's hard for me because like I want to do the shit that I'm into.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
F1 is like unattainable. Like there's no way I'm getting into F1, but I have a lot of respect for it, and I would love to go to one. I think it would be fucking rad to watch.
Vegas next weekend. Fucking pack the
Dude,
kid, put the kid in the minivan. Let's fucking go.
Life is so much harder now to plan things out. But I would one day when he's a little older. If you ever get to go and have a spot, I'd love to go.
You to one
that'd
day.
Be sick.
But what they do so well is they make you care about everyone.
Yeah.
Right? But I just don't know that when Supercross is on and Jet is 5 seconds a lap faster than these guys, you can't make them look good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like the gap's too big. But if you had from, let's say, 15th to the next, fill a gate from 15th down.
Yep.
They all look awesome next to each other.
For sure.
Like that's like real, they all fully rip. And that's the thing about privateers. Like if you can make a Supercross main event, gangster.
Yeah.
You are a fucking gangster.
Yeah.
But if you're in 18th in that main event and you're sharing the track with Jet, Ando, Eli, Kenny, you look like a squid.
Yeah, it's crazy
it's
how
very that's a gap I just don't know how they're going to overcome,
It's definitely weird how I even was talking about that with a buddy of mine. It's like someone like Anderson, like how come he can't just like makes that gap between him to a Jet where he's just not going to be able to end a main event ahead of him. Like it's just weird how the skill the like divisions of skill just keep breaking down to eventually, like you said, where the 18th is just not going to look anywhere near as good of a rider as the top 3. But you watch that dude at any local track and you're like, you can't go faster than that on a dirt bike.
Yeah, by himself.
You're like, that's as fast as you can possibly go.
Yeah, delete everybody off the track. Just have him.
But
guy rips.
I think like you said about the like breaking it down and like making people care. It seems like, I think like things with moto and skate and these other things, like there's just so much nuance to it that I think it's really hard to grasp how insane it is to hit like a 3, then a 3, then a 2 when it's rutted to absolute shit and hit that every single line, or like how hard it is to, do something like Jamie Foy does, like a certain trick on a handrail where maybe like MMA and the cars are just a little more, like F1's just a little more like palatable for people. It's like it's a car or it's a 2 dudes fucking just throwing blows at each other. Even though MMA, I feel like people get turned off once the grappling starts. They're like, fucking whatever.
But for the exact reason that you just said.
Yeah.
They just fully don't understand.
There's just too much to like invest your time mentally into to understand how hard it is to actually do that.
Yeah.
But I think the UFC does probably one of the best jobs of like building stories around people, and like their media team is insane. Like,
oh, dude,
all the UFC countdowns and the embeds, I'm like, that is a crazy production that they have.
Pisses me off that Supercross doesn't do it.
They totally could.
It's so easy. The thing that fucking annoys me.
Seems like they're trying to keep the corporate brands probably want to keep like as minimal media damage as possible, right?
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Like, because the thing is that you already have like a guy like Tom Genet. Just fucking, he has to work for like all these different people to like really kill it. Bro, give him like 150, 200 grand a year. Like, pay him fucking good. And just be like, you've got 3 dudes that can work for you. You're the main fucking guy.
Yeah.
Make this shit cool. Make it embedded every single fucking
the
week
amount
that
of
people
views
want to watch.
Those embeds get is insane. I watch them all, and it's like 2 days uploaded ago, fucking 1 million views. And it's like, you think that Supercross couldn't do that, then you're tripping, because when you look at like situations like the Jet Anderson last year, or like dude, go like send a dude out to Anderson's house, send a dude to Jet's house, and like film them for a day, talk about like build that up. Like I would like to see that.
I would watch that.
Yeah. And it makes it like, I mean, at the end of the day, people just want to see drama and a reason to care.
Yeah.
Like, why would they care if it's just a bunch of faceless dudes with numbers racing around a track and they don't have any personality?
Man, my wife's the best example of this shit. She fully is like in. She even said yesterday, she's like, I can't wait for Supercross to start.
That's sick, yeah.
Why?
I took my wife
drama.
too. Yeah.
She
No, I took my
fucking
wife
loves the drama.
to A2, and that was right after
the booing
and so I was telling her about like the Anderson thing and the whole thing with Jed, and like I had another friend, the skater Ryan Townley, who's a pro skater. He skates for Welcome and Converse and stuff, and he grew up riding dirt bikes in the desert, but he didn't really know much about Supercross at the time. And so I kind of filled him in, and they were just all about it because they're like, what? Like, because Anderson was ripping that day too.
Fuck yeah,
like
dude.
you knew he had something to prove.
How
that
was that
day.
big 3 that he was doing?
Dude, so we were right on one of the rhythms, and like it was so sick. That night is the night when I was like, dude, Levi is on another level
he was
now.
Gangster
on the
that
250,
night.
like,
Yeah.
because it was the Triple Crown, and he was just fucking gunning. Like, you could just see he just had something different around the track. But my wife at the time when we were there, she was like watching, and she was like, this is so much gnarlier in person. Like seeing how far they were going, and then we're like sitting there, and they sent the futures out, and she was just like, I can't fucking watch this. Like, dude, they were coming off the rhythms and just
that
like
was loose, bro.
pinned over the bars, barely making it. And my wife was just like, oh my God, I can't fucking watch this. Like, they're gonna die. And I was like, yeah, they actually are gonna.
They might.
Because this is like, I'm scared too right now, because they were just like no sight, like they just go. Like those kids were trying to prove something.
Oh yeah, there's like legitimately rides and shit on the fucking table. Like the Cole Davies that
he
won that night.
Yeah, now he's on
fucking
Star.
Got a Star ride from that shit.
That kid's sick. I like him,
bro. He is the most unmarketably marketable guy. On planet Earth.
He's almost like the Plessinger of his country.
Dude, he's so fucking dry. Like, have you ever been to New Zealand?
No, but I mean, I love like Flight of the Conchords and like
dry. Yeah, that's
just so dry,
so fucking dry. We did the press conference after that. So he was trained by Ben Townley.
Yep,
he's one of my fucking really good mates. And so I've known that kid was going to be a Supercross fucking guy for like the last 4 years. Townley, because I'm coaching this kid, he's going to be a star.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, like he doesn't say that at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, Cole Davies, remember that fucking name. So I just knew I had like this whole backstory, this whole fucking.
You had the insight.
I knew that lined him up with this question, and he's just like, yeah. that was it.
That's so sick. I like that.
Sucked the silence that came over the fucking room, and everyone's like.
It just like and
he just didn't say anything.
That's
else.
so sick.
And bro, that's fucking comedy. Like, and he just wasn't even trying. Like, that's just how fucking dry he is.
So dry.
But I mean, I
back it. I back that
100%. I was talking to his manager the other day, and I'm like, keep that. Tell him that that's a thing, because I don't even think he knows like how unironically funny he is. Tell him that's a thing, like, and be that fucking
now
guy.
He can't be any other way. Like that's he splashed into the scene like that. It's like, yeah, he's just that guy.
And everyone was like, Vegas, he was the fucking same. But like those nights actually in those races, like they make that big of a difference. That's why those kids
he was going for it, and he looked good too. Like there was kids that looked fast, but they were fucking sketchy, loose, and like he just looked like. He looked polished already. Yeah. There's just those kids you can tell. Like, you see it in skating all the time where you're like, yeah, he's not quite there, but like, he's polished already. Like, way more than he should be at that age, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, you see that a lot in kids in Southern California skating for sure. You go to the skate park, it's fucking insane. Like, it's like going to Fox, but literally, like, because skating is so much, there's so much more to it than just fast lap times. Like they are so good to where they're almost as good as like a top 20 Supercross guy, and you're like, what the fuck? And they're not even like sponsored yet. Like they're kind of getting sponsored and they're starting to, but it's crazy.
Yeah, dude. I find it insane how good kids can be.
Yeah.
There's just this whole new. I mean, I guess it's been around for a long time. Like your
Just
dad
have
was obviously
so much
like young.
information now. Like they can watch shit all the time on their phone. Like it's so easy to just soak so much info in.
Yeah. Have you watched Vincent Way ride much at Parla?
I've seen him. Yeah. Yeah, he's fast. He blows by me all the time.
But not just fast, like so good.
Oh, I see him at Paula all the time.
Like go to the top that one, yeah.
Oh, I
reckon.
did see that he just got
Like
on PC. Yep.
look at this guy ride. And I feel like he was 6 about 5 minutes ago.
Dude, it's crazy how that works. God, that jumps hard. I haven't hit it yet. I want to though.
Yeah, the main track of Parla is it's a bit of a beast, eh?
Yeah, that new like step up triple thing that they have, I haven't gone all the way up yet. It's pretty gnarly.
The one that's out of you got like the roller and then
Yep.
that next, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I've probably ridden 10 times this year, eh?
I've been riding there a lot lately. Yeah, he rips, dude.
Like, he's just a kid.
It's so crazy.
And he's so good.
Just throwing a 250 around.
But and he's been riding it for a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was, I think, realistically like the first time that he rode it. But not just good on a bike, like good human, good kid.
That's cool. That's good.
Like great kid, super smart, good personality, like fully planning for his pro career right
Yeah.
now. Like
He's got it figured out. Well, I'm sure his dad's like mentoring him and
Yeah.
how to actually do it.
Yeah. But just to be that dialed in as a 12, 11, 12, 13-year-old is just like,
You said he's already polished.
yeah.
He's ready to go.
Like, yeah, if like you just press fast forward on his life to him being 16 and he has to line up at A1, he's ready.
It's crazy now too. Like I feel like it's pretty common to see someone like him. He'll probably podium at his first Supercross race. Like it's like people come in and just rip right out the gate.
Yeah. Nigel was kind of like that, wasn't he? From what
Nigel?
I remember. Like, he was like really young. And like Sheckler at X Games.
Don't know much about Nija's like personal life, but I know it was a pretty hard and pretty like unique one where his dad they like lived in a skate park. His dad was really, really gnarly on him.
No way.
Like kind of like Moto dad, but times 10 kind of. And yeah, he's talked about it and stuff, but I know Nija, but not to where we've like talked about that in person. But I mean, it created one of the best skateboarders in the world. And it's like, that's the thing about these situations in these sports where the dad can be just a complete nightmare, but it creates these people that are like a Villapoto or things like that,
It's such a, I mean, I wonder if you would take it back.
I know it's weird. Yeah.
Like that's weird, eh?
I don't think Nigel would, because it seems like he's living his best life
Living.
now. but I don't know. I mean, it's weird, right? It's like the butterfly effect. Who knows where life leads you?
Because you got so lucky that your dad was just dope.
He
as
genuinely
fuck.
didn't give a shit if I skated or not. He was just like,
It's like, hey,
whatever.
man, just have a good life.
Yeah, like I said, like he would have honestly probably figured out how to help me race moto if I was really like, this is what I want to do with my life. He would have like, that's how down he was to just support his children. But I just was kind of like, yeah, I'll just skate too. Like I just was like, it wasn't like I was like gonna die on that hill of like, I want to be a motocross racer. Because I kind of knew it was already too late, like I already knew like 12, 13, I was already way behind the curve of what it would take to do something like that. But 12, 13 for a skater, I was already like pretty good.
Yeah.
So it was like, I just was skating instead. But yeah, who knows? I mean, I don't think they would. I don't know. I don't know if Villapoto's talked about that, because I know he had issues like that. I've watched like the Winter Series thing about it, but
yeah, I've never really asked any of those guys. Like I have another friend that's like, he went through like a lot of shit with his dad, but like, I've never even really asked him like, would you take it back? Like, would you do it differently?
I mean, how could you even like answer that question? Probably can't, I guess.
That's another crazy thing about life that I feel like I figured out maybe even in like the last few years, is that there's one-way doors in life and there's two-way doors in life.
Yeah.
And the thing about a one-way door is once you walk through it, you can't go back out the other side.
Yeah.
And there is no point thinking about what your life looks like if that door was a two-way door.
Yeah, you
and then I think it's like
it.
part of the skill in life is knowing what's a one-way door and knowing what's a two-way door.
Yeah,
because there's been plenty of one-way doors that I walked through that I thought were two ways.
You thought had a hallway of endless doors.
Yeah, and I'm like,
You're like, oh, well, ends here, huh?
like having a kid.
Yeah.
That's a fucking one-way door.
Yeah.
You know, like that doesn't go back in.
That is, your life is changed forever.
Yeah.
There's moments where your life is just changed forever, and you gotta be ready mentally to deal with that. And that's kind of why I'm glad that at least with me and my lady having a kid, we waited till we were ready humans, because my parents weren't really ready. They were young, and I had to go through a lot of turbulence with them, as just them trying to figure out who they were as adults. And you know, that's like a thing that I probably wouldn't take back. Like, there you go, you know. There's a situation right there where I probably wouldn't take back anything that had happened in my life regarding how I was raised, and good or bad, it's just how it was.
How old was your dad when he had you?
24.
Yeah, so pretty young.
Pretty young. And he was not famous at all then. Like, I guess he had his, you know,
he was skate famous.
The Bones Brigade. He was skate famous, exactly. Yeah. And skate was not existent then in the 90s. Like, it was just done.
Yeah.
So.
And then everything.
And then everything.
It's
like he's talked about it before and stuff I've heard, and it's like, it'd be like the equivalent of if, say, like, motocross died right now, and just it literally was no longer existent. Supercross, no one gave a fuck. 10 people showed up, like, didn't matter. Like, it's just irrelevant, and everyone quit riding, but Jet's like, fuck it, I'm going to keep riding. Like, I love riding motocross. And then next thing you know, X Games comes, and Jet's like, I never stopped riding motocross. And everyone's like, wait.
You guys been sleeping.
Yeah, and that's like what happened with my dad. He just didn't
even
stop.
know that.
Yeah, he just didn't stop. He had the ramp at our house that I was a baby at in Fallbrook, like on the way to Paula. There's on the 76, there was a house up on the left. That's where his ramp was, like where a lot of the Bones Brigade footage was filmed. Yeah. And that's like, I was a baby in Bonsall. That's like technically where I was born, I guess, Bonsall. But and then he just was ready. He was prepared.
That is so crazy. I actually didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
And then you just have to be like a kid growing up in that. Like, you almost just had like a skate bum for a dad.
For
like,
sure.
A single skate bum.
No,
dad.
even like he talks about that. Like, he would say, like, my mom's friends would be like, what the fuck is he doing still skateboarding? Like, get it. Like, he needs to get a job and like help you guys. And like, he was like doing video editing jobs because he like has always been tech savvy. So he would like do that at the house. And like, we were just a family, like 2 kids that had a kid and not much money, and he was just trying to figure out how to make it work.
Fuck, that almost makes it way cooler.
It's pretty insane, like what he did and like got through with, you know, the situation that skating gave him.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think, I mean, if that's not an example to just do something for the right reason.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
If you do something because you love the thing, or it's almost like he just couldn't not do it.
He couldn't not. That's all he knew was just that. And so he's like, this is how I have to cope with life, is to keep doing this. And that was his outlet. And that's what just gave him everything, and then took everything away, and then really gave him the world after that, like on a platter pretty much.
Yeah, that's so bizarre.
Just pretty crazy.
Do you reckon you grew up quick because of all of that?
I think I grew up understanding quick, like, other people, and I think I was generally a pretty quiet, like, introverted kid. And I think, you know, when you are the one who's generally quiet and let other people talk, you kind of learn a lot more about them than maybe they want you to, and you just listen. And I was generally that kid, just listening, just like didn't really have much to say, and not in like a good or bad way. I was just like
just your
kept to myself.
personality,
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't necessarily shy. I was just like, just like don't have too much to say at this point in my life, honestly. But I mean, I was growing up on the road a lot, like in tour buses and around pro skaters, and seeing a lot of stuff that like you don't generally see as a kid, and that's one thing that I was super stoked on with moto was when I was like, I don't know how old I would have been, maybe 11 or so. My dad was doing the Boom Boom Huck Jam, and he would take me, and I would just hang out with like Twitch and Ronnie Feist and Drake McElroy, because like I liked dirt bikes, and so I was like, I want to hang out with these dudes, and they were like cool enough to just like entertain me as a kid. But I think they were like,
does Twitch remember that shit?
Yeah, he does. And I remember I came up to him once at Paris a long time after, and I was like, yo, it's Riley, and like I think he kind of registered it, but like I honestly don't even remember if he did. But like we are friends on Instagram and talk now. Like he knows, but like at that point I don't know if he like registered who it was, but
that's so
but yeah, it was crazy. Like the being around those guys as a kid was like so cool. I was like, whoa, this is sick. I got to watch them like practice all day and hit the jump. That was a gnarly jump over that vert ramp.
Probably, can you find some footage of that Boom Boom Huck
Jam?
Jam?
It was fucking gnarly.
Boom Boom Huck Jam. Do you even remember that? Do you even know what that is?
That would have been maybe a little before.
Huck Jam. You would never have heard of this.
Yeah.
Fucking kids, bro.
It was cool though.
I remember that shit being super dope.
But yeah.
Go to videos.
It was definitely a spectacle.
So you were 1.
So I was 11.
There's Twitch first fucking... Oh, no.
There's
it is.
Twitch. And they were super cool enough to, like, entertain a kid, Like, they didn't have to, and they were, like...
Twitch is such a good dude.
Ronnie Feist was really cool, I remember. Like...
No shit.
I remember he was someone that was always super cool to me.
Fuck, Fuel TV. That's bringing it back.
This must have been... Yeah, this is when they're, like, practicing and stuff.
So this would have been, like, one of the first...
This is like the Nitro Circus.
Tours? Yeah, like one of the first Nitro Circus kind
yeah,
of
that vibe
things.
for sure.
Fuck, 20 years ago. I want to see the ramp, though.
It's gnarly. I mean, it's probably a 75.
Yeah.
But it just looks fucking gnarly when you know a vert ramp is under you.
Yeah. Oh, Shaun White was on it?
Yeah, dude, they had some heavy hitters. I mean, like all the BMX dudes, like Hoffman.
Bro,
like
that's
everyone.
An all-star cast.
So I was around all those guys, and like I remember Matt gave me one of his bikes, and he's just like, "Here you go," and I was like, "Sick!" And I had like his like baby blue like bike at my house forever. Like they were just all so cool. Like they just were like, "Oh, Tony's son's here." Like they just made it a rad experience because I was like on tour with them, like going from show to show. That was the only time I could really hang out with my dad at that point because he was so beyond superstardom that like he had to be doing this stuff, and it was like no knock against him. It was just that
that's just what
he had to do this, and so I got to go and do it, and it was fucking rad.
Yeah, that's insane.
But yeah, I remember liking Drake McElroy's style a lot as a kid, like on his dirt bike. I just thought he was like different. Like he wasn't like a moto guy kind of. He was like felt like more like a skater to me, like as a kid even. And I just thought he had a rad style.
Yeah, he had like the whole street.
He was sick.
Kind of vibe.
He just had such good style, and like I even as a kid I even like knew like he wasn't like the gnarliest, but I was like I'd rather like kind of just watch him do whips than like a backflip. I don't even as a kid that like resonated with me that he just looked good on a bike.
These guys were so gnarly back then, dude.
Look at the gear.
Oh, that's savvy there too. Man, this is wild just going like back
Look
in
at
time.
that.
What a good setup.
Fuck, that was gnarly.
What a crazy time, man. Like just that whole early 2000s. Think about the early 2000s. You
just
had
fucking put as many action sports into an arena as we can.
But think about, you had like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, X Games. You had all of the music that was out at the time. You had like Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, Korn.
You couldn't like recreate this era if you tried. Like,
no.
It was just the perfect storm.
No cell phones.
No cell
It
phones.
was like so real. Everything that you were doing was just like very in the moment.
Yeah.
Like MTV was fucking popping off. Like,
yeah, I remember he had like my dad did MTV Cribs, like of course. It was like that was like iconic like icon status if you had the fucking the MTV Cribs. But yeah, it's super crazy. Like,
is it
looking back on it?
Isn't it wild too that you ended up marrying who you ended up marrying?
Yeah,
like,
it's pretty
how
trippy
did two
because
people relate to each other in such a unique way?
We like look at that's the bike that he gave me right there.
No shit.
Yeah. The baby blue one. But we just understood each other so like genuinely so fast because of our childhoods, and it was just like instant like best friend bond that you would hope for in like a partner, and it was just like we were just set for each other, you know, which is cool because it was definitely weird growing up with my lifestyle and who I was and understanding it all and getting a grasp on it, and then when we met it was like we just have an unspoken understanding of each other that is really cool, and it just works really well for us.
Yeah, there's like a layer of like if you were just to be with like a like quote unquote normal person, not that your wife's not normal, but it's like you aren't normal in the life that you lived. So then to like bring someone into that,
and I have,
and then
many
have to
times
unpack all of that shit, and just no understanding,
it's
like
just different.
Yeah, you can't understand the things that you guys went through, and then it's like with just a like, oh yeah, you know the thing that nobody else fucking knows.
Yeah,
then it's just like all that shit is irrelevant in a way.
It's kind of like if you know thing. Like it's just I don't know. It's just weird. We just get along so well, and we like are just I think match made in heaven for sure because it just works out.
How'd you just meet?
Originally, just through like following each other on Instagram, and then we kind of like, oh, we should hang out sometime, whatever. She was doing some tattoos at the time, and I was like, oh, I'll get a tattoo, and then we just kind of met, and it was just like we just kind of just never stopped hanging out after that.
Met.
Yeah, it was like it was just life was different after that.
Huh? Yeah, I mean, it makes so much sense, eh?
Yeah, and it's cool because we're same age. All of our cultural references always land with each other. Like it's just like we're just made for each other, you know, because there's sometimes that happens when you date people from other generations and eras, and you're kind of like, wow, we don't really have much in common. Like we do, but like at the same time we don't, you know. But yeah, it just works out.
Me and my wife, she sent me fucking a link. She emailed me Diane Wood, like a concert with Diane Wood, and then I just bought the tickets straight away, and then I like sent her the confirmation.
Yeah.
She's like, "Did you just buy those?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay, I fully did the right thing." Like,
that's sick.
Us getting married was the fucking right move.
There's just things you know.
Just like that weird, references, weird, like there can be indications like, oh, we're like fully on the same. On the same
at our
frequency.
wedding, one of her friends in the speech was like, I knew they were perfect for each other when they both left Coachella at 7 p.m. to go hang out and go to bed at the Airbnb. It's like we were just both so mellow. Like we just want to like my ideal night is just like me and her getting a good dinner and watching like a movie or show we're into. And like, that's like, I'd rather do that than go do anything else pretty much in the world if I had the chance, that's like when you know you're like, all right, I'm at like a happy place in life.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was getting at in a way when it's like, did you feel like you grew up quick? Because it's like...
we both grew up quick. Yeah. That's one thing we both realized about each other is like her in other ways than me and me in other ways than her, but she had a fucking crazy life. And,
I can't even imagine.
She is probably one of the most like normal people that you could possibly be after going through what she's gone through, and just super proud of who she's become and the, you know, adversity she's had to go through in her life. And it's inspiring and gives me like, you know, inspiration to just try to always be a better person myself.
Yeah, it's cool when you can be proud of your partner.
Yeah, super proud of her. And
for something like that.
We both, you know, try to make sure we tell each other that a lot, because those things matter, you know, like letting your partner know those things that you're proud of them, or that you see like what they're doing, and the things the work they're putting in, and whatever it may be themselves or whatever. And yeah, it's definitely like a very safe space that we have, which is really cool.
Yeah, because like just fuck, man, so much shit to overcome, and just to like keep walking forwards, you know. And it's
fucking
like
a lot, man. And we're glad we met when we did, just because she had, you know, hard time, I had a hard time, and if we met then, there's no way we would have made it through that together. So
yeah, the old fucking tattoo, good call.
Yeah, exactly.
You knew what you were doing.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely just happy that we both came into who we are, like at the time we did, and met when we did, for sure.
Yeah, timing's everything when it comes to that shit, man. Like, for sure.
Huge.
But yeah, if you like write it down on paper, like who would be good together?
Yeah.
Like who's some? All right, you're like drawing up. You're like, man, these two had like a pretty weird childhood.
Yeah,
like,
weird, definitely.
Maybe we should set these guys up. It's almost like a fucking
universe blind date.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like the universe is like, nah, we got to figure this bit out.
Yeah, no, it works great, and man, she is so cool in the sense of like, she truly gets that like I have to do these things, like ride moto, do jiu-jitsu, skate, obviously, because it's my job, quote unquote, but she just gets like my life, and that just makes everything so much easier. Like when you're with a partner that understands your life.
Yeah.
Like that is, I can't preach enough how important that is to find in someone.
And that wasn't always the case.
No, I've had definitely issues in the past where like,
I feel like most dudes listening to this probably come up with that challenge in their life.
Yeah.
Of like trying to do the things that they want to do.
And I mean, it's not to their fault, to my fault a lot too, as a young kid being selfish and just being like, well, this is just what I'm fucking doing, and not having compromise, and needing to learn that you have to really, you know, walk the line of the yin and yang of, you got to put time here and you got to put time here. You can't just be all here or just all here. There's got to be like a perfect blend of both. And that took time to learn, for sure. But I think when you do them both the right way, then, you know, the lady's happy, so you get to go do the thing, or you're happy and the lady gets to go do her thing. And then it's kind of, I don't know, what we've kind of formulated that works for us.
Yeah, and I think too, understanding and vocalizing like, no, this is like a need. This isn't a want. Yeah. This is a need. And
even if I don't say that, she just knows. She can see it in me when I don't go do it.
I don't know that I understood that for a long time. Yeah. And I think it always come across as a bit of a want. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, so this is how I feel about, like, I never was able to communicate, and maybe because I just didn't even know myself that like, oh, you actually need this shit to make you feel, I'd always say like, you can't pour from an empty cup, and it's the most like hallmark cliche shit, but it's actually very true. Yeah. You know, like you feel the best about giving when you feel like you have something to give.
For sure. And I think when I'm fulfilled in doing these things that I love to do, it just makes me want to do even more things with my wife, because I'm just a happier person, and it's vice versa. Like, I genuinely, like, I'm at a point too now where if it means like we maybe had a trip planned and like I was going to ride that day, but then the trip came up, I'm like, it's all good. Like, happy. I'm more happy to go do the me and you thing, because that's all, like, that'll be there. Like,
I'll get it on the next one.
Yeah. Like that's kind of just how it goes. You got to just, and before it would be like, I was fucking just pissed, you know, like I want to fucking go do what I want to do. And that's just being a selfish, like, dude selfish man-child who grew up in a reality of skateboarding that is not actually like real life. And that's kind of things I had to unlearn. Yeah. Unlearning can be hard because habits are hard to break.
Yeah. What do you have any like goals and shit these days? Like now, I think like, well, vets, you were like riding a lot for that, but
yeah, I mean, man,
you said you like ticked everything off that you want to do in skateboarding. So like,
that was more like, I just meant like
Like you got the
I
validation.
got to
in
this
a way.
point that I thought I would just be like, I did it, like I'm happy, you know? And
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
that wasn't, the happiness wasn't at the end of the rainbow like you think it is growing up. But no, goals, I mean, dude, just honestly just keep doing what I'm doing, even if it keeps slowly digressing into like a beginner stage until I'm in the ground. Like if I could look at dudes like this last weekend just fucking lining up in 70 plus class, I'm like, dude, if I'm doing that, fucking I'm the happiest man you could ever find. Like that's all that matters to me, is just doing the things that I love doing, even if it means like doing them at a level that isn't good whatsoever, but just swinging a leg over a bike or throwing a gi on at fucking 70 and just like, I don't know, just drilling arm bars for for fucking the rest of my life, you know, like whatever it is just to do those things would be awesome. Like that's personal goals as far as like the physicality side, and then like on a human side, goals are just like be a good husband and good father and grow and learn how to try to do that the best I can.
Yeah. Dude, there was some guys that come up to me on the Friday, like 70 plus class, 50 plus, 60 plus. I'm just like, brother, you're the fucking shit.
Like you don't understand, but you already won. You're winning.
I look up to you.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Like my professor at our gym says it all the time. Like there's this guy, Mark, who's a black belt and he's like almost 60 and he just always keeps showing up and he's a handful. Like he's outspoken. He fucking gets on Jake's nerves all the time, but he's like, fuck, man, I look up to this guy though. Like he just keeps coming. Like he's still here and he's fucking almost 60 years old and he just throws down with all the new white belts. Like he's always the first one to be like, oh, you're new? Fucking come on over. Like we're going to work on some jiu-jitsu. Like he's just like having the time, and he's like, Jake's always like, God, he can be like a lot, but I look up to that dude.
Yeah.
And like that's just because he's like just dedication, just heart, like still doing it. It's crazy.
That's how you know you're getting old, I reckon. That's like we're like on that curve.
Yeah.
Now, because we're like, we just see different things.
For sure.
As cool.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I mean, even my dad is literally on a bike right now in Cambodia.
So sick.
Like riding a fucking adventure bike.
Like, dude.
I'm like, bro, you're the fucking man.
Yeah, like if I could just play golf and dirt bike once every month even, and I don't know, just like do those things that give me joy, like physically into my late years, then I will be a happy man for sure.
How much did you change mentally having a kid? Do you reckon there's a huge kind of switch that flicks, or?
I feel like became just very like emotionally protective of my family, and we keep our life pretty private as far as like the internet goes, and we definitely don't like to share much of him or much of our lives as far as like the day-to-day of just kind of our relationship and the actual like ins and outs of it. But yeah, I don't know, just made me want to just be a better person. Like I said, just want to show up, like for real, show up for for them, and like accept that there's going to be there'll be times when, you know, you got to just be a dad, and it's like the best thing ever though. Like I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I'm just like not there. And you hear a one-way door, you know, like you just, I'm wondering what the change will be, you know, if there's like a real concrete thing that you can feel. Cause like like I was saying today when we were golfing, I'm like, I just don't know if I'm ready to like give up the selfishness. Cause I'm sure that almost just like washes away in a sense.
Yeah, it does. And luckily, like I said, my wife and me are really good about making sure the other person at least gets to scratch that itch when they need to. And like, it's not going to be as much as it once was, but that's just the reality of having a child, being parents. And I really like love just hanging out with him and like with her. And it's just like, just almost like simplifies your life.
Like way simpler, right?
Yeah, things just become simple and like very complicated at the same time, but but like simple in a sense of like just chilling is like, that's enough a lot of the time, like mentally, like fulfilling, you know?
Yeah.
So
No, definitely makes sense. I just feel like it's one of those things you just almost, you couldn't know what it's going to feel like, or you couldn't ever anticipate the way that it would change you in a way.
No, I mean, I would say it makes me emotional, like in good and bad ways, where I'm like, it's just scary when you care about something so much, you know? But I'll look at a picture of him when I'm on a flight or something, and I'm just like damn near start crying. I'm like, holy shit, this is like a different kind of thing, like different attachment that you have and you gain massive respect, at least for me, for my wife after watching what she did and went through and how she shows up for him. It's like I don't know, it changes your relationship to each other in a way that, like, seeing your wife be a mom is like a crazy step up in the relationship of like dynamic and respect between each other. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I had a friend, Jack Freestone.
Yeah, I know Jack Freestone. I don't know him, but I know who he is.
Dude, you guys would get along like a house.
Yeah, he's a beast,
bro. The man.
Yeah.
That was when he had his kid. That's what he said. He's like, bro, the level of respect that you have for like your wife, but any woman, when you like really go through that process, he's like, it just is a complete game changer. Yeah,
I think it made our relationship way better, even though it wasn't bad in any way. It just made it even that much stronger. Just, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, just like levels to the game.
Yeah, seriously. It makes you have a lot of respect too for, you see single parents out there just really in the trenches, and it's like, fuck, man, it's a gnarly life to have to like really put yourself in the back seat and just, it's all them, because we're fortunate enough to get to, you know, let each other do things we want to and still have a lot of time for us and him.
Like share the load.
Yeah, and it can be, I don't know, it's challenging. I would imagine it's extremely challenging for someone who doesn't have the help like that.
Yeah. What about racing next year? You got any new racing goals?
I want to do Mammoth.
Yeah.
But
I was worried you were going to say that.
Yeah. Mammoth would be something I really would like to do in my lifetime, just because I grew up going to the mountains that up there my whole life, like boarding. And, that's like something I am planning to do if life, you know, allows me to get there uninjured and schedule wise. But that's something that would be fun as hell to do. I think Stark's doing it, they said.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, that would be the perfect bike.
Yeah, no elevation change.
Fuck, maybe that's the ticket.
I think you're gonna have to definitely do the Stark if we're doing it.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be fun. I mean, I have a group of homies that are all down to do it, and it sounds like Trevor and Ryan and all the Stark guys want to do it too. So
have you got a Stark coming?
They have one that I've been using that they like call the Riley bike, but it's still theirs. But I think I'm gonna buy it. They have like something where once it gets to a certain amount of hours, they use it as like a sale demo bike or whatever. So I think I'm just gonna buy that one once that is the case, because I've put already a lot of time in on that bike, so I like know it. But I mean, after I rode it once, I was like, dude, I'll fucking go buy one off the floor right now. Like, if you guys can't get me one, like, I'll go buy one because they're so much fun. Like. Yeah. But I still love the 350 that I just bought. I had the 250 and I sold it. Yeah. And then I got the 350.
350 gang.
Yeah, exactly. And as soon as I got on the 350, I was like, what the fuck was I doing on a 250? Like, what was I trying to prove to anyone? But yeah, the dudes at AEO got me laced up with they didn't give me a deal. I just went in and bought it, but they were all super cool. And that dude, Kyle Greason, he was like a privateer dude, and he works there now, and he was super cool. Like, he didn't know who I was, and one of the dudes in the back told him who I was, and he still was just like, oh, cool. But he was just super cool. I walked in and I was just like, man, I want to get the 350, and he just like broke it down. Like, it's just cool when people are like genuinely just rad, and he was like a super cool dude. So I'll always remember that. And he helped me get the sag right and stuff, because he did the suspension, and they do that there when you buy the bike off the floor, which is pretty rad.
No shit.
Yeah, which was cool, because I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to set the sag, and he's like, no, we do it here, like, I got you. And I was like, sick. So I got it all dialed, and then that thing is fun.
They're so good. Yeah. Was I there the first? No. I was there the last day you rode your Yamaha, I think.
Yeah. maybe.
And then you text me and you were like, bro, the 350 is the shit.
Yeah, I sold it to so I had the 250 and I was like, I'm not going to get a 350 unless like I can get rid of this 250 because I just do not need like 2 track bikes. It's unrealistic for me. But my buddy was like, I'll buy your 250 if you're trying to get the 350. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, like I'll buy it right now. Like, and I was like, all right. And he literally lives like, I started it up and rode 30 seconds up the street and parked it at his house. And I was like, there it is. Yeah, he lives right by me. And he's like, fuck yeah. And he gave me the cash. And then I just went and used most of it for the 350 and just got the rest cash and then just bought it. I was like, I'm not doing the finance thing again. I just bought it so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, yeah. And then you got the Husky trail bike too, right?
Yeah, I've had the FE 501S for a while. That I used to just ride that at the track.
Really?
Yeah, I was just like, I just had that bike and I was like, I don't need a track bike. Like I just cruise. And then like I kind of got the track bug again and like that bike's rad, but it's just different. Like it doesn't give you the same excitement out of a bike that a track bike does. And so I got the 250 and then had that for about a year and then sold it and then just got the 350. So the 350 is the only like bike I personally own that I go to the track with.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you do most of your trail riding? Just like around your place?
We were going up to Mammoth a lot in the off season, because my family has a place there. My dad has had a house there since we were like really young. My dad was like one of the first snowboarders, which is pretty crazy because he was skating in the 80s, so he was just sitting around waiting for someone to fucking put the 2 feet onto one, you know, because he's like, I'm not gonna ski because I skateboard. And then so as soon as snowboard starting, he was one of the first dudes out there, and he's a good snowboarder. But so he's had the house up in Mammoth forever, and so we just go up there with the homies and ride out the garage. It's right by the village, and just go off the fire road and just cruise.
It's so much fun up there.
Dude, the trails up there are sick, super sick.
And the mountain biking up there is amazing.
Yeah, I haven't done like the mountain biking yet, but I want to.
There's good jiu-jitsu up there too.
Really?
Yeah, one of the guys that trained at the gym, the first gym that I trained at, he actually moved when I moved. He moved to the same gym that I moved to.
Mm-hmm.
But his fucking family randomly has a house in Mammoth. So he goes and spends like a bunch of time there. And there's like a really good gym apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never even thought to look up one there. I would assume, there's got to be one, but...
Dude, I would get gassed.
Oh, the elevation is gnarly, dude.
I would get gassed.
I walk up the stairs and I'm like...
Yeah.
That's why, like, seeing those dudes fight in the high elevation is fucking crazy.
We might just have to just do the Mammoth thing.
No, we're going to do yeah, we're doing it.
Fuck.
Just do it all. No, me and my homies are saying we got to go, like, do the full fucking unemployed on a Tuesday, dude, day, like, board, hit 9 holes.
Oh, bro.
Ride some trails,
so
and then, like, scratch the skate park all in a day. That's, like, we got to do that at one point.
Is it better to do winter up there for that?
Probably, like, right now would be, like, ideal, I think.
I mean,
yeah, I know. I need to
What's the lead time on this?
Yeah, 3 to 5 business days around.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, what would Big Bear be like right now? Are the trails still open up there?
I don't know. I've never really ridden the trails in Big Bear, to be honest.
The mountain bike trails.
Oh, the mountain bike trails I've ridden in Summit, but I haven't done the like off like track ones. I've just done like go to Snow Summit, buy the pass, and ride the lift. But it closed. I think it closed in September.
Oh, so it is done.
Yeah, it is done. But that was fun as hell. I've never got to do that, and that was like we went maybe like 5 times, 6 times, and I mean
you were fucking good at that too.
I grew up like riding BMX, so like I understood how to ride a bike. So it took a second to get used to like a bigger bike, but that one, yeah, it just kind of clicked. Like I mean, I'm not like fast, but I could hit all the jumps on the line, and my homies are pretty quick. Like they're gnarly with it. They hit the gnarly like enduro lines, and I'm like, no, I'm like smooth. I want like a skate park. I'm not. Yeah. I don't really get much out of that. The like just rocky, treacherous like downhill. Like that's what they love, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, because I remember seeing those videos. I was like, holy fuck! Like you actually can ride that shit pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean.
So you hadn't.
I think I'm just like, I don't know if I'm just dumb or I just go for it, but like I went with the homies and I'd never ridden a mountain bike and they just went and I was like, fuck it, I'm just ripping with the boys. And just started just hitting the jumps. Like I was just like, all right, I just gotta remember like my BMX jump days, and it just like translated well, I guess. I don't know.
It's like Berriman. He went up to. Did you see that thing Carson Brown did with Carson Storch?
Yeah, where
and
they
were like jumping
jumped,
over.
Yep.
So he went up there for that, took his e-bike, and then was riding with all those boys. Apparently, that's like a sick. It's like a private compound kind of thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And he went down, just followed the boys down like the fucking gnarliest line.
Yeah.
And they're like, just go trail speed, bro, and you'll be fine. And he did the entire thing. And he's like, dude, it was peak experience, like peak human experience.
Dude, it's gnarly.
And then he fucking cased the shit out of the very last
Shit
jump.
gets real on those things.
But they were fucking huge. But yeah, same deal. He was just like,
Yeah,
go
it's like,
hollow head, just
I
don't
was
touch
just
the
like,
brakes.
I know how to jump a bike. I'm just don't think about it. Like, I feel like moto is the same way. If you just, as soon as you overthink a jump, it's just over. I mean, skating's like that too. As soon as you roll up to a rail or whatever too many times, just pack it up.
Yeah.
Because you already lost the confidence to jump on it. And I feel like that translates. I can tell when dudes are doing stuff in Supercross that like might look easy to them, but I'm like, I fucking know that's scary as fuck for them, because like I could grind a rail and it might look easy to someone, but I'm like, I promise you that is scary as fuck for me to grind that rail. But like when someone does it so effortless, like a jet or someone, like it looks easy, but I'm like, that's gotta be scary. There's no way.
That's what's so gnarly about Glen Helen is those up ramps. None of them are up ramps.
Yeah.
They all are completely fucked.
That was not even a fucking jump.
And they just smoke it.
It was
like they hit
gnarly.
it so hard. I'm like, bro, I'm so fucking out. I'm going up to that thinking that I'm about to go over the bars every single time.
I thought Trevor was going to explode that bike watching how hard he was hitting those knuckles. I was like, holy shit.
Insane, man.
Yeah, that dude is cool to watch. He's entertaining. I like him.
What do you think that Moto could do to be cooler than what it is?
Like, in what way?
Well, you look at skate is so intertwined with music and fashion and culture, and we just have like the biggest disconnect. Trevor's like kind of the only guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like Ando as well, like really has his own kind of style.
Yeah.
But we're so disconnected from culture at large, you know, like, I don't know. Do you have any opinions on it?
Man, I mean, opinions maybe, but like actual, like a plan that could do anything, no, because like I don't really know, to be honest. But I don't know. I think skating is just, it's so attainable and so like, it's like so urban in a sense where like you go to New York City and like dudes are just skating around and they just look
Barcelona.
cool, and people are like, oh, that's like just part of culture. Like it's the fucking, the bird flies by, the dude with the sandwich walks by, the skater always up the curb. It's like so integrated now, I think, into like culture that it's just, I don't know. I think you see a lot of really cool people skating too, like that break into these other roles in life. Like you got dudes like maybe like a Evan Mock, or like, I don't know who else, like when Dylan was alive, like Dylan Reeder, and they like transcend through skating, and it like makes people outside of skating respect it. And I feel like, I don't know, I don't really see anyone in moto that's done that yet on like a cultural level. And maybe it's just because it's like a faceless sport. Like the helmet might be part of it. Like you're just not, I don't know, the like connection to the person might not be as easy to make as like someone who, like a Dylan, who's this like, was this super handsome guy who was extremely talented at skating, and it was just like girls loved him and skaters loved him, and like he just looked good. He had good fashion, good style, and like at the end of the day, no one's walking around in Alpine Star gear, you know? So it's, I guess, I don't know. Like I think what Trevor's doing is really cool. Like I personally like seeing someone in like, I don't know, cool looking clothes who can just like scrub the fuck out of the corner jump at Glen Helen. It just looks rad to me. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's just a harder barrier to enter moto than skating. Like skating is like pretty pretty easy to get into if you want.
Yeah.
And
You just take it on a train, take it on a plane, take it.
Whatever, yeah. And like you can just go to a skate shop and buy a board and a pair of shoes for $250 total, like all said and done probably. And next thing you know, you're just sitting at the park in New York or wherever, LA, and like you're like a skater, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't know, a little harder, I guess, to get into moto. But it seems like moto kind of, they want to just not allow it in, if that makes sense.
I totally do.
Skating kind of allowed it, and that's what kind of, I feel like, broke skating into that next level of like cultural acceptance where like, you know, rappers and whatever high fashion brands are like looking at skaters as like cool and like what's hot in certain ways. But I don't know, I think maybe moto, it seems like moto just wants to just focus on who's gonna win that weekend, and maybe it's just too much to like take on as a rider to I don't know, because the stakes are less high with skating, that's for sure.
Yeah, but you look at like the whole like that whole ASAP mob, like ASAP Thai, and you got the Meek Mill, and like the motorcycles are such a huge part of the culture as well.
For sure.
There's so many dope people that are into it. But
yeah,
like,
they like
just not
seems like they don't care
in,
about like actual moto.
Yeah.
They just like the bikes.
Yeah, but maybe it's just like they're just not. Yeah, maybe there just isn't the right pathway into it. In a sense.
I think maybe it's like, I mean, I feel like those guys have no desire to go to a track and try to hit a jump. They just want to wheelie through the streets, and like that's kind of parallel to skateboarding. Like they just, it's like urban, you know? Like I don't know, that maybe the track thing is almost this like other world that they don't want to enter, maybe.
Yeah. The helmets thing, I wish it was like people always say, we don't need more fucking rules, brother. But it's like literally make the rule that until the 2-minute board goes up, you are not allowed to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
Just that's the rules. Yeah. I don't care whether you don't like it. And there's such I mean, riders would fucking hate that rule.
Yeah.
Because then they just get to like go into the zone, put the goggles on because you're so nervous. There's so much going on. The stadium's full. But I just think it's insanely important that you see the faces of the riders.
That's like the relatability aspect.
Well, Jet, great looking kid.
Yeah,
Danger Boy, great looking kid. Like there's so many, like Chase, another good looking dude. It's like there's so much personality and marketability. And like for my wife, for your wife, to like pick a guy. My wife's favorite rider is Joe Shimoda. Why? Because he's cute.
Yeah.
Literally, she likes anime. Japan's her favorite country. And he's cute. That's what she based her favorite fucking rider on.
Yep.
That's it. And there would be people out there that live in fucking Dakota and they're like, Aaron Plessinger is my fucking favorite guy because he looks like a cowboy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just like there's so much in showing the rider, not just like showing their personality.
Yep.
The fucking person. Like, what does that guy look like?
Yeah.
And we just fully don't do that. And it should be mandated.
I feel like maybe the biggest disconnect is that the average skater can just grab a board at any moment and start skating, and like that's what they look like when they skate.
Yeah.
And like the moto is just, it's a lot of gear and a lot of stuff to have to put on, and you're not just like in what Trevor's doing. You're like not in like clothes like that, and
or you, no gloves.
Yeah, no gloves by accident. But yeah, I feel like in skating we saw a big change when Supreme started doing their videos with Bill Strobeck, who would like really emphasize like these really close, tight shots on skaters' faces as they're rolling up, and then pan down to their feet, and then like it was this very specific style of filming that kind of like fully changed skating forever. Like after that, those videos came out, like skate filming completely changed, and it just made it more about like the person, not so much the trick.
Yeah.
Where before it was like static, like this is a gnarly trick, and it was just like a static HD angle or maybe like panning a little bit. And then now it's like, this dude looks fucking cool. I'm going to film him really tight, show like a trick that maybe isn't the gnarliest trick, but just looks good and he looks cool. And like, that's the clip. And it's like Supreme really did a good job of figuring that formula out. And like, now they just are like the lead force of like that type of like fashion forward skate industry stuff. And that was like it transcended skating. Like snowboarders started doing it. Like,
can you find an example? Like, what would
type in like Supreme.
It makes so much sense.
I don't know. Like, just type in Supreme Bill Strobeck or something.
There you go.
Yeah. Watch like Candyland. Like, if you watch that, like how many views does this have?
Yeah, go down. It's like 3-point-something million.
Like, dude, that's crazy for a skate video. That's like a lot of views.
That's the other cool thing.
So like, if you fast forward a little bit, like this is
more
a dude that passed away, and it's like a dedication clip. But go back, go back a little there, like right there, like watch from there. Like, this is what fully changed skating. And a lot of people did not like it, but there's a lot of people like, it's funny because my dad went to one of the premieres of the Supreme video, and he was like, felt like I was watching like a catalog lookbook, but a video. And I was like, wow, they actually are like geniuses for the way they did this whole thing. But you can see how it's just really like a lot of action going on.
No shit, bro. This is really obvious.
Yeah, and it's something that like definitely changed the way all skate filmers film now. Like, most skate videos you'll watch have this look to it where it's like, you're going to see the skater's face a lot. You're going to see a lot of real tight, like...
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, I'm always like, I wonder if there's a way to like do it in moto, but like there's not really.
Yeah. What do you...
And this is like almost like where trends happen. Like, this trend took over most sports where you could film like this. Yeah. And I feel like maybe like even stuff like that is where moto got left behind a little, because it's the same, just like you can only really film moto so different. And like, this really like changed how skate videos are made. And then it like all other sports kind of followed suit. Like, I feel like I'll even see like, even in BMX, you see like the face, like the tight face shot is like critical now in like board sports.
Never noticed that. I mean, I'm not that I'm like super clued in. Go to Red Bull Homegrown. So this was the last video that I really ever worked on. And like, watch the production of this.
Skating got super over production.
Yeah, like the Ty Evans.
They don't want that.
Nah.
Like,
watch this, dude. This does not exist. Go full screen, Rose. Like, this doesn't exist. This was almost a year of work. And how long's this video? Like, I shot that there.
Yep.
And it's like, we just did so much fucking work, and it was just like days and days and days of filming, months and months of building, and like that. This doesn't exist now.
Yep.
Like the way that this was shot, and I think Instagram changed it. Like, honestly, Buttery and Axel, those guys fully fucking changed
for sure
the way that moto.
Well, I mean, it's
was
kind of
presented.
the same concept of like, not saying the Supreme guys aren't great skaters. A lot of them are amazing skaters, but it's this aspect of like, you can look cool, and that's like enough.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the best guy.
Yeah.
Like, for people to want to watch you do something. And I feel like Buttery and those dudes especially kind of tapped into that a little bit. And I mean, like, if you watch any skate video now, it's going to look a lot like how that last one did. And it's interesting because there's like, you know that magazine Jenkem? Have you ever heard of Jenkem magazine? It's like a skate magazine, but they do a lot of like, just like, I don't know, interesting like pieces about stuff. And there's like this one that they did about, it's like the year skateboarding changed, and it's like talking about how this video called Pretty Sweet, which was like,
yeah, I remember that.
That video, it was talking about how that video flopped and like the rise of like these more like raw type
Grunge
Bill
kinda.
Strobeck grungy like vibe type videos started becoming
Lo-fi almost.
Lo-fi started becoming like the desired look. And it was like an interesting article just about like that was fully when skating changed. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't about like these gnarliest pro skaters possible, which is maybe also where the moto thing doesn't quite translate into culture. It was more about like, look at these kids in New York that are just fucking look cool.
Yeah.
And like they rip, they're not Nijas, but like we can make them look fucking cool. And the next thing you know, they're like, you know, all the high end fashion brands are like using them for modeling. And like, they're like, these kids are cool. Like that's kind of, I think what separates skating a little from maybe from moto is nowadays it's not about being number one. It's like just about looking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was like, I don't remember too much after this.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that this is almost like the Pretty Sweet.
For sure.
In a way.
No, and then everyone followed suit where like the HD, the super overproduced, like, because it did work for a while. That's what people wanted. And then it was like, no, people want just no tripod, like, tripod's done in skating.
Right, when he started working for us, I used to be like, where the fuck is your tripod?
Dude,
'Cause I
tripod
filmed
is
for 10 years
done.
and I carried a heavy-ass tripod all over the world. And I'm like, where's all your lenses? Where, like, nothing. They just walk around the track with a fucking...
Yep, little handheld. Just
That's it.
Yeah, and the edits look cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you see dudes like Bull Boy and those guys, like, the edits look cool. Those kids, I think, understand what that type of vibe is, like the Supreme videos, and you can tell that they've done what they can to translate it into like a moto vibe, and that's kind of what I feel like you see when you see like Bull Boy's edits, or probably like a Anderson, he gets it. Like I feel like he follows skating enough to understand what the culture is doing over there, and it's weird because now that's almost kind of on the way out, the like Bill Strobeck thing, I feel like. And I personally don't even really know what the next thing is. Next? Like, it's weird. It's like the trend forecast is crazy in skating. You cannot like predict what's going to happen. It's weird.
Yeah. And then I think that's where, like, for whatever we don't have in terms of mainstream, it's like the racing thing is just...
Yeah.
It's just like this steady line. You get records. There's a Jeremy McGrath. There's a Ricky Carmichael. There's a James Stewart.
Nothing changes.
Does it? It's just like you get these legacies and you get these bikes that do well and these and it just kind of like builds on itself and it just keeps going and going. It like kind of doesn't stop.
I mean, honestly, I feel like I love MMA so much, but I feel like it's almost like that in UFC now, where it's just like kind of just we're starting to like, I don't know. We're almost like doing the second round now of like what you see over and over, and even in skating you see it all the time too. It's not like skating's this like, mythical like tell all thing that sets the standard for what other sports are gonna do. But I think that I don't know. There's just so much shit now. It's like you just gotta find what I guess you're into now, and like that is kind of what sets skating apart. Is there's a lot of niches to it, and moto is just who's going to win this weekend. Yeah. Yeah. So
it's funny what you say about UFC though, because I mean, it's even like I'm a fucking diehard, bro.
Same,
like,
dude. And there's some fights now that I'm like, I don't even really want to watch it.
I forgot that the John Jones thing was on this weekend.
Yeah, seriously.
Which is crazy, dude. Yep. But I remember watching like, in 2003.
Yeah.
And just being like that into it. And now I think especially too because it's gotten so Russian dominated or like Stan dominated.
Yeah.
To where it's like we're not far away from a Stan person being the champ in every division.
Seriously.
Which is gonna fucking suck.
Yeah.
And I just know from personal experience that they are really, 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 really good.
Yep, I know. I was talking
And that's
about
not going to be
that.
very fun for the sport.
It's like there's not really superstars anymore. There's just people that are really fucking good at MMA.
Yeah.
And like that can get a little redundant, you know, like sometimes you don't want to see people that are just really good. You want to see like good style matchups.
Yeah,
or
I want to
good
see
style.
fucking Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald.
Yeah, just something crazy where you're just
some
like
crazy
fuck it.
shit. And I just don't think that that's
Yeah,
where
I don't
it's
know.
going to be.
I mean, maybe like at a certain point in UFC, the standings won't really matter. It's just more like
About
entertaining
big
fights, I
fight,
guess.
yeah.
But like if they want to make it's like a commissioned sport, so I guess they have to abide by these rules, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, I guess like skate just doesn't have a commission that's, no one's overseeing it. It's its own, like, no one's in charge, which I guess that could be an issue for Moto too.
Yeah, that's like I think that's another big factor.
Yeah, like no one's the end all deciding factor of what you can and can't do in skating. So
Yeah, because again, it's like it's a sport, but it's an art
yeah,
as well. And like there's always going to be artists
yeah,
and not just competitors.
yeah. There's like ways you can and can't do stuff, and there's not a right or wrong really in skating, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that's kooky for sure that people will be like, don't do that, but you can if you want.
Yeah, no one can actually stop.
No
you
one
from
can
doing
actually stop you.
I was thinking about it yesterday. Remember when Connor was gonna be when he was fighting for the second belt?
Yeah,
That just seemed like the craziest shit
yeah,
that could ever fucking happen. And now it's like
yeah. I mean, even now,
so
like
regular.
even if Pereira fought Jones for a third belt, it still didn't seem like it would have the gravity that did, which is crazy.
That was one of the gnarliest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The way that he just beat the shit out of
Yeah.
That was like Matrix level stuff.
That was, yeah.
And
was
now
sick.
how many years ago was that? 5, 6 years ago?
Maybe more.
Maybe more now?
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's elevated
Now
so
he's
much.
just fucking off. Now he's like, yeah, dude, being on the internet can fucking ruin your reputation.
Dude, he is.
Because it's like,
fucked.
holy shit, you don't want to see some of your heroes turn into that.
Have you been following like the shit that he's in right now?
No, not really.
Bro, he's like fully in like a grape charge right now, in court right now.
Yeah. I
Like
don't
dealing
even-
with like gnarly. He has fallen so, like, I don't even care to watch him fight again.
No, same.
I'm
I
like,
genuinely,
I'm out.
I don't care anymore because it's not even going to really be like it's not going to be like it's him in his prime.
No.
So
Nah, and just like all
Yeah.
the shit.
poor Michael Chandler. Jesus.
Oh, dude. I'm excited to watch him fight.
Yeah, that'll be
You
a
see
good
how
fight.
fucking shredded that dude is
He's
right
scary. Dude, him versus Oliveira, the first one was like a fucking roller coaster. And it just goes to show how good Oliveira actually is because it's like, dude, what the? Like, he can put away Chandler like that? That's crazy.
now. Yeah, that's going to be a fucking gnarly fight. Imagine the frustration.
He's got a lot of pent up training camps.
Like-
Long training camp for this one.
like an Olympic fucking,
Yeah.
an Olympic
Holy
cycle.
shit. Seriously.
Have you got any jiu-jitsu comps you want to do?
No, honestly,
Do you have the bug to compete for that shit much?
So the last 3 times I tried to, something bad happened like 2 days before, and I forget what happened the first time. Second time, I broke the top of my tibia and sprained my meniscus the last round before about to go out to Vegas.
Ugh.
And then the last one I was just about to do in October, my dog passed away the night before, and I was in the ER with him up until about 5 a.m. and the competition was the next day. And
Yeah,
I
that
was
ain't
just
happening.
like, no, there's no physical, mental possible way. And I was like loading a bunch of water the 2 days before and didn't even have time to sweat it out because I was in the ER. So I was like 176 pounds and I had to go 168 because I was going to try to shed it all off in the sauna. And so it just was one of those things where I was like, you know what? Maybe that's not for me right now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm good on just keeping it fun and focus on skating at a level that feels like that I should be skating at and put my energy there for now. And there'll always be tournaments, but the last 3 times it's almost like okay, some's telling me it's not the time for
Yeah.
for that to happen.
It's a very stressful thing to go through.
It's gnarly, dude.
Fuck.
It's fucking super gnarly. Like
Yeah.
the diet part sucks.
Do you cut much weight?
I would have probably been down like 7 or 8 pounds from what I normally walk around at. So enough to be like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Enough to be like, I'm really overeating turkey and rice and broccoli.
Yeah.
But I'll do it for sure
At some point.
but I wanted to do another one at Blue Belt, but maybe it's just not in the cards for the blue. Maybe purple will be the one I do it at because I'm kind of reaching the tail end of Blue Belt, and not like I'm going to get the purple in the next month, but, I'd rather just not even think about those things and just train and just work on jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a fucking gnarly commitment to compete at it.
yeah, and now with the little dude, I don't think it's on the table right now.
So Mammoth next year.
That's the goal, Mammoth. Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to join you on that one.
Yeah, we got to get Ronan too to come and film.
Yeah, Rones. How would you feel about Mammoth, mate? Maybe that's your next trip. Mammoth next
Got the
year?
crib. We can all crash.
Likes mountain biking. Maybe. I need a goal. That's one thing that like you need in life is a fucking goal.
My wife always says that. She's like, you are really good when you're goal oriented. Yeah. And that's my goal right now. Actually, my goal right now is I'm working on this video with some homies that comes out in February, and
sick.
Been just killing myself for that one, and that's like actual like killing myself because I'm just skating all the time, and like it's the equivalent of like a Supercross season where it's not fun.
Yeah,
like
just grinding.
I'm not having a good time when I'm trying these tricks. I'm fucking just bodying myself and hoping that it pays off, and it's been going well, and everyone's been killing it. It'll be like probably like 25, 30-minute video, some homies.
Sick.
And yeah, it'll be cool. So working
how
on
does that work? You guys just put it out as like...
We're just going to put it on YouTube.
It's like your own label almost.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of like what I was talking about where skating's at right now is it's like, it's cooler to just do your own thing at this point and like not worry about like needing some media outlet to pick it up or needing Thrasher to like be the driving force of it. You can just like make your own YouTube page, like fucking post it on Insta, like link in bio, like the people that want to watch it will watch it, and that's all that matters really. Doesn't matter if a bunch of people that don't give a fuck about it are watching it. Is like if it's on Thrasher, and like we have to like deal with all the music rights bullshit, and
yeah.
I'd rather just do whatever we want, use whatever songs we want, put it on YouTube, and let the world just kind of find it if they do.
That's a sick place to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're just skating because we like to and filming because we like to, and so we're just putting out a video because we want to. It's not like we have to.
And so that feels like a goal in the same way that like a Mammoth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm filming for this part like it's a fucking goal, like it's a company video, like it's everything that I have as far as footage wise is going to this video, and skating as hard as I physically can, and the tricks I'm doing are tricks that I've wanted to do, and it's like it's a real video for sure. It's just that the production side of it, as far as like where it lands, is not going to be this big drawn out like elaborate marketing thing. It's just like, here's the video with the homies.
Yeah.
Like we'll premiere it, have a premiere, and put it online, and it's like, go watch it if you want.
That's fucking sick.
So yeah.
Well, dude, this has been rad, and I'm glad we're friends. You're a fucking,
Same.
You're a super cool guy.
I appreciate it, man.
You're inspiring to me because I know how much shit you have going on. You ride more than me. You train more than me. Like you're really a dude that fucking does it. And I know, I know how hard it is to do what you do at the level that you do all of the things at. And so without you knowing it, I'm always looking at you.
Oh, I appreciate it,
and I'm
man.
like, fuck yeah. Like
I think
what a legend. So,
being a fan of your friends, I think is like the best place to be in life for sure.
Yeah. So this has been cool. I'm glad that we're boys, and let's crush Mammoth.
Yeah, Mammoth 25.
Let's do some riding. Let's do some training.
Yep.
And
get better at golf.
Yeah. Dude. I have room to improve.
We got a lot of room to improve there.
Yeah. Well, Riley Hawk, everybody.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Done.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.